Welcome in. Good to have you. Today is the day. Let the dancing begin. We are about an hour and 13 minutes away from game one getting underway. Michigan State, Mississippi State, they're the first up on the docket. BYU and Duquesne. Then Akron and Creighton. Long Beach State in Arizona. Wagner, North Carolina. Morehead State in Illinois. Oregon, South Carolina, and on from there. Good day to you. Welcome to the Bill Michaels Show. We are glad to have you. If you want to follow us, you can. 877-867-1670, 877-867-1670. You can find us there by calling in. Otherwise, you can follow us on X at Bill_Michaels, at Bill_Michaels. You can follow Grant, producing the program, at Wisco Grant, at Wisco Grant. Over on Instagram, The Bill Michaels Show on Instagram. The Bill Michaels Show. Then follow us on Facebook under the same. There you have it. So welcome into the program. Good to have you on board today. Grant, y'all fired up today? We got basketball and mania.
Yeah, I've been just under the weather this week, so I'm amped to have like excitement and energy and like things to watch during the workday today. Sure. This will help me power through the workday. I know the Badgers don't play till tomorrow night, but it'll just be awesome to have basketball on. Yeah,
it's an exciting day and a big day for a lot of different reasons. So we'll get into everything coming up here in just a minute. But also, if you want to follow us, you can watch us over on YouTube. Go to youtube.com/Bill Michaels, Michaels, Bill Michaels Show. Great way to pay attention to the program. Also, take us anywhere and everywhere on the app. The Zone, Z-O-N-E, the Zone Madison app. Download it, put it on your mobile device. You're good to go there. You can find us on the Twitch app, on Twitch TV, on Kick TV, same thing. And you can always email the program, thebillmichaels@gmail.com, and find us after the fact on Spotify, Apple, iTunes, Google Podcasts as well. We got dancing today in the NCAA tournament. The Bucks, moral victory last night. We'll get into that discussion. But the story of the day is the breaking news that Shohei Ohtani's interpreter has been fired over in South Korea. He was fired earlier, and because apparently he has what he calls a sports gambling addiction, but has now the stories became different. He says that he has a gambling addiction, and then at first he asked Shohei Ohtani to cover his gambling debts over $4 million. Over $4 million worth of gambling debts. On the other hand, he then turned around and said Ohtani knew nothing about it, and he took the money out of Ohtani's account. And still, the question, and there's a lot of good questions regarding all of this. Now, let's be clear here. There was not, from what we understand, there was not betting specifically on baseball. It was on many other sports. But the betting began back in, I believe it was 2020, 2021, something like that. But they had been together since 2018. And that's when he claims that the gambling addiction got out of hand, which a lot of people are raising an eyebrow at. And then the other question becomes, how does an interpreter who works for the team get full-blown access to Shohei Ohtani's accounts to be able to take $4.5 million from Ohtani? And these are all the things the government's trying to figure out, and authorities are trying to figure out, and baseball's kind of letting the FBI and the investigation move forward and following their lead. But eventually, once you my mom always said, once you shake the rug, you'll see all the dirt that starts to come out. Once they start to shake the rug, the dirt's going to come out. There's apparently booking agents and bookies that are in Vegas that have testified to part of this. There are banks that are going to be eventually involved in this. Ohtani, now everybody from the Dodgers is in South Korea, where they ended up getting knocked off today by the San Diego Padres in Game 2 of the regular season. So, and when I first heard this and then read this story, the first thing that comes to mind, anytime you think of gambling, you think of Pete Rose. That is baseball going to come down on somebody like they did Pete? Because we know Pete Rose is not the only guy that's ever bet on a baseball game. You would just assume, right? Since then, with all the access that people now have to gambling, you got to assume that somebody has somewhere along the way, and baseball's basically said, knock it off. You're going to get a second chance. Don't ever do it again. So we'll wait and see. But this is one of, if not the biggest star in Major League Baseball right now, in Shohei Ohtani. And, you know, there's going to be claims of language breakdowns and barriers. There's going to be and that's the other thing that, you know, a lot of times when you have big bank account withdrawals, and I just know because I, you know, live with a banker, they usually call and require a voice verification. Well, if the guy on the other end of the line doesn't speak English and you have to give it to somebody who does, who's his paid interpreter, I mean, I don't know. I don't know how all that's handled, but there's just so many questions here. And some of this just doesn't smell right, you know, for the claims that have been made. Apparently, ESPN did an in-depth article where they talked to the interpreter first. He said, yes, Ohtani knew about it. Yes, he went to Ohtani, and that Ohtani agreed to pay his gambling debts and he was going to help him out. And, you know, and then in another interview, apparently he lied about it. He said, no, Ohtani didn't know anything about it. And he was the victim of mass theft, you know, and that's what Ohtani's attorneys are now claiming, which it sounds like once a PR firm got involved and people started looking at it involving Major League Baseball, it looks like all of a sudden they circled the wagons in a different direction. Anyway, but that's the big story of the day. So if you got up this morning and you were wondering, why do they keep talking about Ohtani playing so well on the field with the, you know, the cloud hanging over his head? They kept alluding to that during the game this morning. And finally, I had to do a little research, and in there, sure enough, there it is. There's a big story run on ESPN and on many other outlets that this investigation is going down. So, Grant, now I don't know if you've read the details of all of this and all the accusations in this, but did this thing, if you did, does this thing not strike you? There's questions and there's stuff in here that's just weird.
Yeah, the original story was weird. It's like, so this guy had access to Shohei's accounts and ripped him off for millions and millions of dollars, and Shohei didn't know. Like,
right?
Come on. So I think everyone was skeptical when we first saw it, and now we're just waiting for bits and bits and bits of information to come out as we try to piece this thing together.
Yeah, it's a very bizarre scenario as to what happened here, and the interpreter being able to just have. I look, I have family members that don't have access to my accounts. I'm you know, Kristen does not have access to my accounts. Nobody does. I can't imagine you give your interpreter full carte blanche to your accounts. I can't fathom that. And any business agent would tell you probably not do that. Don't do that. That's too much money and too much temptation to give somebody. So the question then becomes, why did he have access to all of these accounts if indeed just his story on its face begins to be true? Now, the other question is, and what baseball has to kind of be leery of here, is this guy is a paid employee of the Dodgers. The Dodgers hired him. I mean, granted, he was with, you know, Shohei Ohtani when he was with the Angels. But then when Ohtani came over, the Dodgers put him on payroll. He was part of the payroll and gave him as an employee money and such, and all the, you know, accoutrement, so to speak, of what a Major League Baseball player would have to basically be at Ohtani's side at all times. So he is a paid employee of the Dodgers, and which puts the Dodgers on the hook as well. Now, the other thing that I found out in reading all of this, gambling, whether it be online or anything else, is illegal in California, which is where I think they said 90+% of these bets were placed. It's illegal. So for that much money to be moved and that much money and credit to be issued. So you go to DraftKings, you go to, FanDuel, you go to all these other sites. Most of them will give you, for putting in a certain amount of money, they'll match you $200. So you've got extra money to play with. It's basically, you know, the old adage was, you know, you give the crack to the baby and then they grow up a crackhead, and there you keep the drug supply going. That's how they hook you in. Okay, we'll give you money. Here's free money. Go ahead. But once you burn up the free money, that's it. You're not getting credit. They're not giving you millions of dollars in credit. Whereas bookies, agents, and people that are, we'll say, less than savory, that are lying beneath the surface, they'll give you credit because they know who you're working for, and they know eventually they're going to get their money back in some way, shape, or form. So then you have to ask what the legitimacy of the betting was, who was doing it, and you just kind of follow the money trail and see what happens. But the argument is, was Shohei Ohtani in knowledge of any of this? And then you get into the quandary of, one, it's illegal in California, but on the opposite side, he didn't bet on baseball. And again, now he has not been tied to this in any way other than, as his attorneys say, the victim of mass theft. Other than that, he has not been tied to this in any way. So a lot of that going on and a lot of that breaking today, in case you're just, kind of waking up and coming out from under a rock, so to speak, and see what happens. But it's a very, very, very confusing timeline. And it was a really bizarre situation behind the scenes that all focuses on, I think his last name is Mizuhara, Mizuhara. I think Mizuhara is his name. And the Ohtani spokespeople claim that to everybody that he is the victim of mass theft. So we'll see how this whole thing plays out. And by the way, these two actually met and became friends in Japan back in 2013. And when Ohtani went into Major League Baseball in 2018 with the Angels, Mizuhara came with him. So that's how all of that transpired. And then there's a guy named Boyer, that guy that was actually placing the bets for them, kind of the in-between bookie, if you will. Mizuhara had allegedly been placing bets on DraftKings, and then he met Matthew Boyer, the bookmaker, at a poker game in San Diego. He later claimed to have believed that it was legal to place bets with Boyer, which he supposedly did a whole bunch. So there you go. And then it goes on from there. A very bizarre scenario.
Now, I know I'm your producer and not your translator, but I know what everyone's wondering. Would I take the fall if you incurred a massive gambling debt? Now, I think I would if you asked nicely. I would just expect to be made whole in Quick Trip Chicken.
Yes.
So I know you don't gamble. I was in Vegas with you for a week. But if you were to come on hard times with a gambling debt and you asked me to take the fall, I would. But I would want Quick Trip fried chicken in return.
For life.
That's all I want. Yes.
For life, yes. I would assume that Mizuhara is going to be taken care of no matter what happens here in some way, shape, or form, unless he ends up in jail. If he takes the full fall. Now, I don't think you're going to, if it comes to prison time, Grant, I don't think you're going to the single gender dance, are you?
Where would they put me up? That prison in Waupun? I don't even know.
Ain't happening.
How long is a prison sentence for something like this?
That's a great question. I mean, are you talking, for just gambling and other than just being illegal through bookmakers? I don't know, a year?
If this translator has to go to a prison, we assume it's not like a max security, like nasty prison. If he goes to prison for a year or two, Shohei can give him millions and millions of dollars the rest of his life. Like,
yeah,
this
he
is
can
not
take the fall for $10 million.
Yeah, that's not a bad gig for that guy.
Right. Yeah. He could go on to live in the last lap of luxury for a long time if that happens. But yeah, that's the big story today. And there's still a lot of lingering questions about this, because some of this just doesn't smell right. How do you give anybody access to your account to have? Because with all of the business managers that you have, if you're Ohtani, you signed, what he signed for, $500 million? I
think it was 700 million, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was more than $500 million. You gotta have people that are watching your money. It's not like he has an ATM card that has access to millions of dollars right now. Here you go, because he's not going to burn it up in the ATM machines. So he's got to be pulling wires and such out of these accounts to be able to pay for this. And whenever you pull big, large numbers out of an account, you usually get a call. You usually get a red flag from the bank to say, hey, I'm calling to make sure that you're doing this. I can't believe that the interpreter is the one that has the access. So that's why this kind of smells funny. And it seems like baseball is tripping all over itself to make sure that Ohtani's distanced from this, because he's their star. And you can smell that too. How dirty is Major League Baseball going to be on all of this? If indeed Ohtani knew about it, how dirty is baseball going to be in this? We already don't trust Rob Manfred, an attorney himself, right? So hey, that's why That's why you look at this and you just go, okay, here we go, another scandal. And is baseball just going to say, well, we're going to let them handle it? And then finally, when it all comes out, a lot of this stuff has been cleaned up and sanitized, so it's not as bad. That way, baseball doesn't have to take action against a favorite. So anyway, but that's the big breaking story of the day. Otherwise, today we are dancing. And I'm giddy. I'm excited. Hopefully you are as well. Big day today. Got basketball. We are about what? We're less than an hour away from basketball getting underway. Can't wait. Can't wait. Speaking of Quick Trip, let's go right there. Quick Trip. Quick Trip. Our good friends over at Quick Trip, they have the best chicken. Best chicken. There, that's all. You just say it. Just say it over and over again. Whenever you walk into a Quick Trip and the chicken is frying, you know that smell. That smell is fantastic. And right now, you could win that chicken for life. For life. Go to quicktrip.com/chicken for life and get registered. Don't forget, every time you're in Quick Trip, use that Quick Rewards card. Use it. You wear it out. Type in your number and you can get all kinds of stuff, all kinds of rewards. Quick Trip, that is the place to go. And as they say, see you next time. We got more of the Bill Michaels Show coming up.
Covering Wisconsin sports like a blanket. This is the Bill Michaels Show on the Wisconsin Sports Zone Radio Network.
0% interest for up to 3 years at Pella Windows and Doors of Wisconsin. I'm Gina Della from Pella. Pella's free in-home consultations make replacing or redesigning your windows and doors easy. We go beyond just measuring and handing you a quote. We take the time to listen and educate you on all your product options. And with DesignWorks, you can see what your home will look like before you buy. Whether you're looking to replace your windows due to damage or it's time for a refresh and you'd like to revitalize your home style, choosing from Pella's wide range of windows and doors will complement your home's unique design. Pella can also customize, providing nearly endless possibilities for maximum design flexibility with dramatic sizes, custom colors, finishes, profiles, product types, and more. Order by March 31st to get 0% interest for up to 3 years. Set your free consultation at PellaWI.com.
Certain restrictions apply.
Bill Michaels will resume in 3 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 2 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 1 minute. Bill Michaels will resume in 30 seconds.
Good to have you back. The Bill Michaels Show. Continuing on today. 877-867-1670. 877-867-1670. This portion of the program brought to you by our buddy Dwayne, D-U-A-N-E-S, Dwayne's CoverItAll.com up in Wausau. And if you're looking for a boat cover, travel cover, upholstery work, bimini top, how about some upholstery work, say, in an RV? Or maybe you've got some furniture at home that you need fixed. How about gym equipment? Maybe an awning over your business. Yeah, he does all of that and so much more. Go to Dwayne's, D-U-A-N-E-S, Dwayne'sCoverItAll.com. That is Dwayne'sCoverItAll.com in Wausau. 715-870-2119, 715-870-2119. And give him a shout up there. Does fantastic work. Absolutely fantastic work. So, the Bucs get a win take a loss last night, but what is it? A moral win last night. And I saw some people over on the live stream saying, well, that's what it's come to. The Bucs get a moral victory. I think so. The Boston Celtics have not lost to an Eastern Conference team at home all season long. The Bucs, while they were down quite a bit and at times double digits in this contest, came storming back. Started hitting shots, starting playing defense, and oh, by the way, they did it without Giannis. They lost by 3. I don't want to say like moral victory, so to speak, but did they gain confidence? I think they did. Last night, it was good to see. I even tweeted it out. There were times last night in that contest early on, like again, it's a lot of bad habits came back when they were down and they were just watching Boston pull away, specifically in the first half of that ball game. Shot it go up. There is nobody. There's 4 Celtics around the hoop. Nobody around the hoop. Some shots weren't falling. Nobody. I mean, nobody was around the hoop. Everybody was trotting back to the other end of the floor. By the second half, you saw Bobby Portis get more active. Brook Lopez got more active. Guys were down low more. It was like maybe Doc Rivers noticed it. And also, the Bucs threw a zone at them. They started playing some zone defense just to kind of mix it up a little bit. But they were playing some zone defense, which seemed to frustrate a little bit Boston last night. So I don't know specifically what to make of the game, but I know by the time it was all said and done that either now Grant, did you watch the game last night?
I did. Yep.
Okay. So did it seem like Boston took their foot off the gas, or did it seem like the Bucs started forcing some turnovers, got some boards, and started playing a faster pace of baseball or basketball?
Maybe the Celtics relaxed a little bit, knowing that Giannis wasn't on the other side. But to me, it was more about the Bucs not letting go of the rope. Right at halftime, they could have said, "Screw this. We don't have Giannis. We're just going to mail this in." But they fought, and they fought to come back a couple different times. And there were a couple different moments in the fourth quarter where it looked like it was over, and then they'd fight and they'd get a tough bucket, and they just kept the game going. I don't believe in moral victories. I don't like that framing. But the Celtics are really, really good, and the Bucs were without maybe the best player in basketball right now, and it still turned out to be an awesome basketball game. So I have a lot of optimism after watching last night, which I didn't expect.
I came away from that the way they were fighting down the end. Like you said, they didn't let go of the rope. It's a good term. And I agree. They just kept fighting. Now, there were times where the Celtics looked disinterested, like, "Oh, we're going to get this. Don't worry about it." But I think the Bucs gave them a little bit of it because they did try to kind of put the game away at the end, and they couldn't do it. And the Bucs kept coming and coming and coming and coming at them. So I felt good about that contest by the end of the game. It did make me feel better that they took a loss, but I just kept thinking to myself, yeah, it was, and I hated to say moral victory because I'm agree with you. I hate those. But I felt a lot better about it last night, walking away from that contest than I had even if they would have gotten blown out, we would have just said, well, they didn't have Giannis. The Bucks kind of gave up. They didn't have Giannis. The fact that they kept fighting today, I'm thinking, or fighting last night, I'm thinking today that, that made me feel a lot better about the Bucks, about that road trip into Boston. And that maybe they can, because when they played defense, their offense got better. When they weren't playing defense, their offense wasn't nearly as good. And it started, and it really does. One affects the other with the Milwaukee Bucks. I mean, a lot of teams do that, but with the Bucks specifically, you can clearly tell. So I was happy last night with kind of the way the things played out. So, and again, I know some people are saying it's not a moral victory. You don't get participation trophies. I understand all of that, but we're talking about bigger picture here when it comes to the Bucks getting, confidence against this team, a team of which now owns the series by a game, and the Bucks have a chance later in the season. I think it's the second or third last game of the season to even up that contest and to be able to split the season series with the Boston Celtics. And at that point in time, you would hope that both teams are back at full strength, and that then might be more of a playoff style atmosphere at the Fiserv Forum than it was last night in Boston. And tonight the Bucks are back at it, taking on the Brooklyn Nets, back at the Fiserv Forum, by the way. But quick road trip, then they go back home. I liked everything I saw last night. I liked the fact that, Crowder didn't get a lot of points, but he only got you a couple of boards, had a couple of fast hands. But really, you had first of all, Bobby Portis is seemingly locked in. I don't know what happened at the All-Star break. I don't know if Doc Rivers looked to, make a concerted effort to get him the ball more and become more a part of the offense. But Bobby Portis seems locked in. And I'm really impressed with that. Beverly last night hit a three to bring the game back within three, and he gave him a little energy off the bench. It was only 1-3. It wasn't a big deal, but he gave him some energy off of the bench last night. Pat Connaughton's always got fast hands and such, and had a couple of tip balls. Didn't get a steal, but had a couple of tip balls yesterday where, passes were deflected and such. So I kind of like the way they play. You like to see them get more out of the bench than what they're getting. But, we'll see when the postseason gets here if they get more out of a, I don't know whether they get more out of Gallinari, whether they get more out of, Beverly or Beauchamp's back or, Crowder comes to play and puts up a few more points. But, he's kind of hit or miss. But if Crowder isn't going to get you, double-digit points, then he needs to get you double-digit rebounds. Because that's kind of what his deal is. And he's been a better rebounder. He's given you 7 or 8, 9, 10 a night. Last night, he only had a couple of boards. And like I said, nobody was crashing the boards last night.
Crowder is a defensive player that's going to be better served against a team like the Celtics because Crowder's bigger. He's to defend forwards, right? Yeah. So against Tatum, Brown, he is not a guy that's going to chase fast point guards all over the floor. So I think Crowder actually plays a bigger role against the Celtics than maybe some other teams the Bucks would run.
I agree. So let's do this. We'll take a quick break. We'll come back. Got a lot more just, bunch of stuff to get into. Hang in there. We got a whole lot more of the Bill Michaels Show coming up. Don't go anywhere. It's dancing day. We're going to be dancing here in less than an hour as Michigan State's going to be the first team to tip off the tournament this year. Stay tuned. We got more after this.
Ready? This is the Bill Michaels Show on the Wisconsin Sports Zone Radio Network.
Make it a real Mad March with a playoff payout at Potawatomi. Every week, you could score your share of $100,000 in cash and free play. Play this March for drawing entries. Win each Thursday. Plus, the prizes refresh every week for even more winners. The playoff payout at Potawatomi, Milwaukee. It's anyone's game. For more details, visit paysbig.com/payout. Must be 21 and a club member to play.
Bill Michaels will resume in 5 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 4 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 3 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 2 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 1 minute. Bill Michaels will resume in 30 seconds.
The Bill Michaels Show on this Going Dancing Thursday. Good to have you back. Yeah. This portion of the program brought to you by our friends at J&L Tire and Service Center. They want to say thanks for voting them the best tire dealer out there. And they are in Watertown on Boulder Road and in Johnson Creek, just above 94. You can't miss it. But they do a lot of philanthropic work in the community. They are trustworthy. They give back. I mean, what other company would you want to work with, for gosh sakes? J&L Tire and Service Center, whether tires, oil change, major engine repair, they can do it all. And if you're a soccer mom or a big rig driver, they have the facilities to handle both. They can handle it all. So check them out, jnltire.com, jnltire.com, jnltire.com. We're less than an hour away. Actually, now I guess you can almost say about 40 minutes away from the NCAA tournament tipping off. You've got who? Michigan State is the first team of the day on the docket that will tip off the tournament, taking on the 8 seed Mississippi State, a 9-8 matchup, followed by Duquesne and BYU, Akron and Creighton, and it all gets underway. So you've got on CBS, by the way, is Michigan State and Mississippi State. On True TV, it gets underway with Duquesne and BYU. Then it goes over to TNT, Akron and Creighton, and then on TBS, Long Beach State and Arizona. Second game on CBS today, and then the 1 seed North Carolina, and it goes on from there. So good stuff. 877-867-1670. Our buddy Gerard is on the line. Gerard, what's going on today, man? How you doing?
Boy, Bill, I tell you what, I obviously I watched the Celtic Buck game last night. And look, I'm honest on my own team. The Celtics play bad when Tatum dominates the ball and he's not moving the ball and the whole bit like that. And he's 0 for 6 in game-winning shots. So I criticize my own team. But please don't give me a moral victory for the Bucks. They're not a 500 team looking to move up. You know what I mean?
Right.
That is just I can't believe some of the Buck fans are actually saying that. If you think the Celtics didn't take the pedal off the metal, a few weeks ago they blew a 20-point lead in Cleveland to the Cavaliers and lost. They fear the Cavaliers far more than the Bucks because it's all about matchups. The Cavaliers are athletic up front, and Mitchell can put 50 on you in a blink of an eye. And it's a bad matchup for the Celtics. But the Bucks aren't. The next time Middleton, Portis, and Lillard play defense will be the first time. It was an embarrassment. Watch the third quarter again. It was like if you took a basketball with a bunch of 5-year-olds and rolled it out and they were all chasing the ball. The Bucks were running 3 guys at the ball, the whole bit and everything else. Now, I want to talk about Middleton looked good offensively. He looked like, and he was always a Celtic killer. So I'll give him credit there. Let me tell you about Lillard. Okay, Lillard is what we call a jock. Okay, and I'll give you 3 instances of the game what he does. The first instance I'll give you when Tatum went left-handed for that back in the game layup real late in the game. All right, and he blew past Middleton. Lillard was right under the basket. He could have easily jumped out. You know what he did? He stood there and watched.
Mm-hmm.
Okay?
Right.
The second one that's annoying is him taking the last shot of the game when it was meaningless, when he had 2 guys open, and he had to get his scoring up. That's what these guys do. And the third one was when they pulled his rear end out of the game because his defense was so bad that they put Beverly in when they were playing offense-defense when Rivers pulled him out. And I got to give Rivers credit for that. When he pulled him out, him and Rivers were going at it on the sideline. If anybody's seen that, they showed it. They was going at it. That tells you what a selfish ball player he is. Okay? So please don't give me this. They don't fear the Bucks. I'm telling you, the Bucks have a lot of talent, and offensive talent. And all these guys were missing Giannis. And okay, he's one of the best players in the NBA, if not the best. Okay? But what is good for one team is good for the other team. Just because you're missing that guy doesn't mean that the players that the Celtics were missing aren't important to the game. The Celtics will not win a championship this year without Holiday. He is the glue to that team. Absolute glue. And Hauser is one of the best. Now, I'm not saying it. Look, these games are meaningless to the Celtics. Absolutely meaningless. They're resting guys. Porzingis didn't play for a week. The past week.
Do you think it'll be more like a playoff game at the Gerard, do you think it'll be more like a playoff game at the Fiserv Forum coming up here in a couple of weeks?
No, it's not going to. It's meaningless to the Celtics. They'll probably rest 3 guys. They probably won't. They're getting ready for the playoffs, Bill. They don't care about this stuff. Now they're 11 games ahead. Now, the Buck fans, with all due respect, Bill, and all due respect, they're 11 games back. Mm-hmm. This is 11 games back. And I think, everybody's thinking this. You are not going to win with the way you play defense.
That I agree with.
Did you not see them flashing by you guys?
No, I agree with that.
Anybody.
They have become a better defending team since Doc took over, but they do it almost when they want to, not because they have to.
Bill, and you're absolutely right. Did anybody watch how Jaylen Brown covered Lillard? He was dogging him the whole game, putting 100% effort, running through picks, doing this. Him and Horford was switching out, doing. Did you see how hard they played? Did anybody see that? No Buck was doing that.
No,
none of them were doing that.
The only guy, the only two guys that I saw, and I got to run here. Gerard, appreciate the phone call, and he's right in a lot of aspects. And I did see, because the camera only panned over to it for a minute, I did see Lillard kind of jaw-jacking a little bit back and forth with Doc Rivers. Now, the one thing I did mention was it was like a walkthrough for the Bucks early on in that contest. And I said that. I said, you see a shot go up, nobody around it. They're all walking to the other end. They're setting up. You watched Boston, a couple of passes, boom, either hit a three, working inside, slashing, cutting, things like that. He's right. And then finally they started to kind of change their attitude, if you will, in the second half of that game, specifically midway through the third period, through the third quarter. And then they started to kind of pick it up. And, and that's why I said, does it look like Boston gave a damn? It looked like Boston was trying, but it wasn't like Boston was just out doing them in every aspect of that contest. And, like I said, Grant and I hate the word moral victory because it's a loss. It goes down as a loss. But I would have assumed that with all of the talk over the last few weeks about the Bucks being the only team that can be a real threat to Boston in the East nationally, that Boston would have come out and tried to put the hammer down on the Bucks to say, no, you're not. Now, if they would have done it without Giannis, everybody would say, well, they did it and Giannis wasn't on the court. That's why you were hoping Giannis was going to play. But I still think, through a lot of what Gerard had to say of they don't fear the Bucks. I don't think they fear the Bucks. I think the Bucks fear them. I don't think they fear the Bucks. I really don't. They have been a dominant team, and the Bucks got them, terribly earlier this season. They just absolutely blew their doors off at the Fiserv Forum, and the Bucks had it done to them and such. But I was really hoping for a playoff style atmosphere, but I don't think we're going to get that until it'll mean more to the Bucks fans at the Fiserv Forum than it will to the Celtics, so to speak. Whatever happens in that game in one of the fourth last game of the season when the Celtics are here is either next week or in about 10 days. It'll mean more to the Bucks and the Bucks fans than it would, I think, to Boston. Boston's just like, we're the best team. You're just breathing our air and wait till we get to the postseason. And then we'll turn it on and then we'll see what you have. And maybe there's something to be said for that. But I think as a Bucks fan, I was hoping I'll take the moral victory because even on a night in which Gerard, like he said, the Bucks didn't care, they didn't play hard, they weren't doing anything. Suddenly the Bucks started to come back in that ball game and started to get a little mojo and juice. So you can look at it from both sides. I agree with that, but I think it meant something to the Bucks to say, hey, we came within 3. We battled back, we didn't quit.
I don't like the idea. So they had one defensive lapse in the second quarter, and that means they didn't take the entire game serious. These NBA games are long. There's dozens and dozens and dozens of possessions.
Oh, God, yeah.
You're not going to be, I wouldn't expect the best team in the world to be locked in, super, super close on every possession. And I don't know. I'm not sure that the Celtics don't fear the Bucks a little bit. The Bucks, without Chris Middleton in 2021, beat the pulp out of the Celtics. Mm-hmm. And they needed a 50-point performance from Jason Tatum in Game 6 to squeak by the Bucks who were beat up. I don't know. I think there's a little fear and a respect between these two.
I think there's respect. I don't know about fear. You know what I mean?
Totally.
I think there's respect there, yeah.
The idea that the Celtics are like, we're that much better and we don't worry about it, I don't buy that for a second. I think both of these teams are really good.
Yeah. No, I agree with that. I think there's a respect there, but I don't think if you have to say, oh my God, this series would make me nervous. If I'm the Celtics, no. Because you've watched the Bucks falter, you've watched them slow, you've watched them not play defense, you've watched them make so many mistakes that you're probably like, they would have to play their best games and we could play 3/4 mediocre or better and still win because they've been able to do that. And the Bucks got beat last year by a Miami team that played their best games, and the Bucks could not match their energy, couldn't do it. And this whole thing about, well, it's game time, that's great if indeed you're scoring. But last year wasn't about scoring. Last year was about the inability to defend beyond the arc and stop Jimmy Butler. They couldn't stop Jimmy Butler. They could do anything and everything they wanted defensively, still couldn't stop Jimmy Butler. They got gassed. They didn't have the legs. That's my concern. So Dame time is great. He can give you regular season wins, and certainly when you come down to the buzzer, you've got a guy that can take that last shot. That's awesome. But to me, last year, they got beat. They got their ass handed to them because they got out-hustled, and that was very obvious. So all the stuff about, hey, he's taking us to the championship, I don't know that necessarily is true, especially for another guy that doesn't like to play defense. He wants to talk about it like he does, and he'll show you effort at times, yes, but the consistency is not there. So I that's why I can't wait for the postseason, because it's either everything we've talked about here today is going to be exposed as a falsehood, or it's going to be validated, and you're going to watch the Bucks, dead legs, heavy legs, talk about rest and load management and no defense and slow and not moving to the ball and getting out hustled, and we'll be back where we started. We'll be sitting in an offseason going, is this team ever going to wake up and say defense is a part of the game where they're going to play it consistently? Now, let me pause for a minute, because since Doc Rivers got here, if you look at their defensive statistics after the All-Star break, they've been a really good defensive team. They've been so much better than what they were. So I'm not going to say and just sit here and dump on them to say they don't play any defense, because they do. They played a lot better. I just want to see that carry over and be amplified come the postseason. Let's do this. We're going to go ahead and take a quick break. We'll come back on a lot more to get to, and NBA and gambling. NBA and gambling. Don't go anywhere. You're going to want to hear this coming up next on the Bill Michaels Show.
This is the Bill Michaels Show on the Wisconsin Sports Zone Radio Network.
0% interest for up to 3 years at Pella Windows and Doors of Wisconsin. I'm Gina Della from Pella. Pella's free in-home consultations make replacing or redesigning your windows and doors easy. We go beyond just measuring and handing you a quote. We take the time to listen and educate you on all your product options. And with DesignWorks, you can see what your home will look like before you buy. Whether you're looking to replace your windows due to damage, or it's time for a refresh and you'd like to revitalize your home style, choosing from Pella's wide range of windows and doors will complement your home's unique design. Pella can also customize, providing nearly endless possibilities for maximum design flexibility with dramatic sizes, custom colors, finishes, profiles, product types, and more. Order by March 31st to get 0% interest for up to 3 years. Set your free consultation at PellaWI.com.
Certain restrictions apply.
Bill Michaels will resume in 3 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 2 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 1 minute. Bill Michaels will resume in 30 seconds.
This is the time of year that, well, in Wisconsin, you can head down to Potawatomi Hotel Casino. You can go to paysbig.com. Paysbig.com, and you can head down to Potawatomi via the internet and see everything that they have going on. But they've got a lot of stuff happening down there. So if you are thinking about going to paysbig.com or heading down to Potawatomi in person, and tomorrow might be the day to do it, just venture out after the snow falls and just hunker down there. But that being said, you can have all kinds of things in access right at your fingers. They have got right now the 100K Thursdays, which is happening today to start the tournament. If you want to go down to the sports book down there, they have all kinds of restaurants. They've got the Canal Street Cafe, the Dream Dance Steakhouse. They've got the Potawatomi Marketplace now, where you can just go and grab whatever. They've got the Street Eats, the Burger Company, the Gilded Cleaver, the Taco Spot. They've got Rockin' Brews. Obviously, I was just down there not that long. Ruyi, I think is how it's pronounced. Ruyi is down there. So many good things in Potawatomi, including the table gaming, and they have the slots. Bingo is back. So many good things to offer, and obviously you can stay there too. Maybe you go there tonight. You watch the snowfall. You wake up tomorrow. You're there, part of the tournament, whatever it happens to be. Good stuff down at Potawatomi Hotel Casino. Go to paysbig.com. That is paysbig.com. That's paysbig.com. This was an interesting story that the Cavaliers head coach, JB Bickerstaff. Did you read this one too? Now, the gambling story came out today about Major League Baseball and Shohei Ohtani. But did you read about the NBA and Bickerstaff getting threats from gamblers?
I saw this last night, and this is within 24 hours of Tyrese Halliburton kind of saying the same thing.
Yeah.
He was complaining, I'm just a prop to most people. Yeah.
Which the whole thing about being a prop, so what? You know, it's
I agree.
It's like, shut up. You know, you're getting paid. Go out and do your job. Quit worrying about how you're being used by those who have no control over the game. But JB Bickerstaff revealed that he is now receiving threats from gamblers, and had it last season is when he started reporting it to the NBA. But he was asking about sports gambling and the comments made by Halliburton talking about being used as a prop. He said, look, they're calling us up and threatening us because we're not covering point spreads, or we take an extra shot that ruins a point spread. He said they got my telephone number. They were sending me crazy messages about where I live, my kids, all that stuff. So it's a dangerous game and a fine line that we're talking about for sure. He said he told security, and the gambler was located, the guy that was threatening him. They said no charges were filed, but they did find him and talk with him about it. But he said, look, he has to admit it brings added pressure. It brings a distraction to the game. Now, this is part of the problem. You're in bed with these companies now. You decided to take the money. You hoard yourself out and took the money. So you can't complain about it. You know, I mean, granted, these guys are going to, they're crossing the line, but you're in bed with FanDuel. You're in bed with DraftKings. You're in bed with sports books. You want to put kiosks in NBA arenas. Gambling is part of your advertising package. It's part of what's paying the television dollars and driving the salary cap, or if you will, the total salary up. So, on one hand, you can complain, but you decided to jump in bed with these people. And I'll be honest, I feel bad for a coach that's thinking in the back of his mind of whether or not the point spread, he's got to even think about looking at it now at the beginning of it. It's better off if you don't look at all. You don't talk about it. You don't discuss it. You don't get into it at all. And I mean, sometimes you can't avoid it if, you're being favored by a ridiculous amount of points or being favored to getting beat by a ridiculous amount of points and you want to prove something. But for the most part, if I'm a player or a coach, you can't look at that stuff. You can't have that in the back of your head. You can't have that as an outside pressure. I don't know how they do it. I really don't. We talk about it. I mean, gambling's been a part of football forever. And sports betting has been around forever, whether it's legal or illegal. But it's like, if you're a player, Grant, do you go out there, do you look at that and go out there and start thinking in the back of your mind, hey, we're right there at the spread. You know what I mean?
No.
If you're looking up at the score.
If some dumb fan wants to gamble his hard-earned paycheck on my game, that's his problem. That ain't my problem.
Right.
Not at all. But I'm not the one receiving angry tweets about it. So maybe that would wear on me. I don't know.
I guess. Crazy. But that's another gambling story that's kind of leaked into the news cycle. 1 hour down. It's a Fast and Furious this next hour. Are you ready to dance? We are. Thin Mints will be in hand. More of the Bill Michaels Show next.
This is a Wisconsin Sports Zone update.
Well, no Giannis Antetokounmpo last night for the Milwaukee Bucks as they would fall in the Garden to the Celtics, 122-119. Damian Lillard had 32, Bobby Portis 24, and the Celtics, who have not yet lost to an Eastern Conference team at home all season, pushed their lead in the East to 11 games over the Bucks. Up next, the Deer come home to Milwaukee tonight to host the Nets. Tip-off, that will be at 7 o'clock. To the Badgers, they headed to Brooklyn yesterday. That's where they'll take on James Madison Friday night for the first round of the NCAA tournament. James Madison is 31-3. They are carrying a 13-game win streak, and a large part of that is because of the play of their guard, Terrence Edwards. Chucky Hepburn now talks on what he's got to do against him.
Keep him from scoring. I mean, simple as that. It's a very simple game, just try to eliminate the best players, and we're definitely going to try to take him out. He's a really good player. He's the best player in the league in the conference for a reason. So a lot of our eyes are going to be shifted on him, but they also got other players on the team as well that are really good. The point guard, they got a couple of players off the bench as well that's really good. We just got to keep everybody contained. That's going to be a big key for us.
Tip-off tomorrow night is scheduled for 8:40.
Rural Mutual Insurance, keeping Wisconsin strong.
As a proud sponsor of the WIAA, Rural Mutual roots for all of Wisconsin's student athletes. Whether they're a hometown hero or they dream of the national spotlight, sportsmanship keeps Wisconsin strong. Visit ruralmutual.com/WIAA to learn more about how they support high school athletics.
Rural Mutual Insurance, keeping Wisconsin strong.
Just 7 games remain for the Milwaukee Brewers in spring training. Then they go out to New York to take on the Mets March 28th for opening day. For the Wisconsin Sports Zone Network, I'm Ebo.
It is Thursday, March 21st. We are less than 13 minutes away, and we begin to dance. One of the most favorite times of the year. Welcome into the program today. I'm Bill Michaels, Grant Bills alongside, and we are enjoying the pre-dance festivities. The Girl Scout cookies and the Thin Mints are right here next to me. feeling good about that. Got those, which is a long time tradition. And excited. We got the Michigan State Spartans and the Mississippi State Bulldogs are going to be tipping off the tournament coming up here in now 12 minutes. We are 12 minutes away, so I'm excited. I'm giddy today. If you're just tuning us in and you're just joining us on many parts of the network, whether it's up in Menominee, Marinette, all the way down to Platteville, crisscrossing the state, from Tomahawk to Milwaukee, Wisconsin, we're glad to have you on board today. Thanks, as always, for joining us. So we've got that tipping off. You've got gambling news with Shohei Ohtani and the LA Dodgers firing Ohtani's interpreter for apparently stealing $4.5 million from Ohtani and placing sports bets illegally with a bookie that he met at a card game in San Diego. At least that's the way the story tells right now. I would assume there's going to be more that is going to start to come out of this. But that's going on. You've got Bickerstaff, the head coach of the Cavaliers, saying that he has been threatened by gamblers because he has not covered point spreads. So you have that going on. The Bucks with a moral victory last night, if you want to call it that. They played well. They lost by 3 without Giannis. We kind of feel good about that. We'll see what happens at the Fiserv Forum coming up here in about a week and a half. And then they get into the postseason for real. And we would assume that these two teams are eventually going to meet up in an Eastern Conference Finals. At least that's what you're kind of hoping for, provided that the Bucks don't get overtaken by the Cleveland Cavaliers. Then it could change things a little bit as far as seedings go. So we got that going on. Brewers were off yesterday, back at it again today. And now this is their stretch run all the way through the New York Mets, which are going to have the Mets home opener next weekend. And then a week from Tuesday, April 2nd, we will be live at Stenny's, Second and National in Walker's Point. We're going to be down there for the Brewers home opener as the Twins come to town and the Brewers open up their home season at American Family Field. We are going to be live from American Family Field tomorrow. And one thing I failed to mention yesterday that I am going to bring up today, because tomorrow I was looking so forward. We're going to talk to Rick Schlesinger tomorrow. Rick Schlesinger, VP of Business Affairs and such for the Milwaukee Brewers. But one of the things that I was looking so forward to tomorrow was just putting the cameras on the field and on the grass and all that kind of stuff and just showing you, right? We're just kind of there. Well, I got an email yesterday before I went on the air that said, hey, we're going to welcome you in. Great to have Rick on the show with you, the whole thing. Just do us a favor. Show very little of around the stadium. I went, what? They want to unveil, they're going to save this for TV, I guess, the day of the home opener, which is disappointing because we're going to be the first ones there, but I have to play by their rules. But they have installed either a new scoreboard, ribbon boards, or they've got a lot of new things inside the ballpark they don't want anybody to see until opening day. And so one of the stipulations that I got to follow tomorrow. So when you ask me and you say, hey, why don't you have all the cameras set up? Well, it's because I can set some things up, but I can't show you everything because the Brewers have installed things and they don't want to unveil it until you come walking through the gates on Tuesday, April 2nd. So, which is a little kind of anticlimactic, isn't it, Grant? Where you go there, you're fired up, you want to, just kind of put the camera out there and see him cutting the grass and spraying down the dirt and getting ready. But then you really can't show much beyond that.
You know what's funny is all of that probably would have been lost on me anyways. Like you could have put all of that up on your video feed and I would have been sitting watching like, oh yeah, God, it's nice to see the field. And it never would have clicked for me that, oh, there's a new scoreboard, a new ribbon board.
Yeah.
Like, I wouldn't have even noticed. It would have gone right over my head.
I didn't know. I mean, I knew they were doing this, but I didn't know that they wanted to wait to unveil this. So that was one of the things that they'd asked me, and I'm fine. Look, I'm fine with that. They're bringing us down and putting us in broadcast booths, and I get a chance to do the show from inside a broadcast, the visiting broadcast booth for the Brewers and such. And I'm thrilled with that. I never ever would down that. I just was like, oh, you're killing me. I wanted to be able to display that. So anyway, but we'll be down there tomorrow. I got to get up really early, apparently. Now, what is the snow forecast in Madison, if any?
Oh, you're asking the wrong person. I know we were supposed to get some sort of precipitation. I should probably check.
because we are expecting anywhere from, it started out, it was 1 to 3, and then they upped it from 3 to 5 and even up to 7, depending on what area the band happens to travel to.
So I assumed like 1 to 3 inches, just enough to cover the ground and then melt before too long. That's what I assumed. It seems like, that's the forecast.
Yeah, I think it's like 3 to 5 is like the predominating. I'm sitting here looking at my weather forecast on my computer, and it says 3 to 5 ish. You could get a little bit more, an inch or so more in some areas if this band of snow that just stays right down the I-94 corridor should happen to sit there, which is exactly where I got to go. I mean, it's where the band is, where they're showing this band from Milwaukee all the way out past Jefferson, and it doesn't go much beyond there on this vision that I have, is exactly, I'm dead nuts right in the middle of all of this that I got to drive down tomorrow morning. I'm probably going to leave the house, I guess, about 6:30, and I'll be down there early, start setting up the equipment and such. But regardless, we're going to be down there. Well, it's snowing outside. We're going to be talking baseball and just feeling good inside. And then we'll be bringing you all the action of the NCAA tournament and whatever else happens to, become a story, so to speak. But looking forward to that. So Kyle says in Madison, 3 to 5. 3 to 5 inches in Madison is what he's saying. So I guess, and you're the only one in the office tomorrow, right?
Yeah, Ebo's in Appleton. Yeah, I'll be and Zach is in New York already for the NCAA tournament. So it's just me. Maybe I'll just sleep here tonight.
Well, you got Rachel's cat. You can't.
Yeah, I know. Don't remind me. He was up, by the way, he was up at 4:00 this morning. He wanted to be fed. And I said, I'm not doing this. So I just went down and fed him. And then he woke me up again at 5 to be fed. So I put him in his little cat. How big is this cat?
Was she got a freaking lion?
Well, you cats, they think they're hungry all the time, and they're not. So he woke me up again at 5:00. I put him in his cat carrier, wrapped it in a blanket, put the carrier in the bathroom, shut the door, and went back to bed for 2 hours. And I think he didn't make a peep. I think he probably needed it too. We needed some alone time between the two of us. Okay. So this could be a running bit, my adventures cat sitting the last 2 weeks. And I think we're both starting to get a little sick of each other. He wants to go home. I want him to go home. We both know it. And we're both getting frustrated.
Now let me ask you this. What happens if you two decide to do the nuptials thing? And, depending on where you're going to live, what happens then? Does he bother her the way he's like, tapping on your head in the middle of the night?
Yeah, but the problem is she sleeps like an absolute log. I'm one tiny little noise, and I'm a really light sleeper. So a lot of times what'll happen is he will beg for food from her, but she won't wake up. So if I want to sleep more, then I have to go take care of it.
Yeah,
or wake her up. But that's not
right.
I'm like,
okay.
What am I supposed to do? Nudge her in the ribs and tell her to go feed her cat? I'm already awake.
Yeah, that damn cat. Go feed the cat. Yeah. Okay. And you can't close the door and keep him out of the room.
No, I don't know. I live in a loft. So I don't have a bedroom door. Wow. So that's part of this adventure as well. I know this is riveting storytelling.
It's exposing us to the detail. You know what? People like the behind the scenes, man. I can do a 4-hour show. We can sit here and pontificate about all kinds of different things and bitch, moan, and complain and throw out opinions, and we'll get 10, 15,000 viewers or whatever it happens to be along the way after this thing all wraps up and it's said and done through a cycle. And yet I'll post something stupid like a conversation like I did last weekend when the Badgers ended up beating Purdue last Saturday, and that thing took off and went viral. People just love the behind the scenes stuff. They love the unscripted stuff. So now we're all learning, it's not just this small cramped apartment. You live in a loft, kind of cool. You're living that semi-bachelor lifestyle. You got this cat you're sitting for, and I can only picture the cat jumping 30 feet into the air. It's like that one commercial where the guy's throwing stuff, and it turns out he's on a balcony, and the cat's jumping by and eating it. I can picture you up in bed, taking the ladder away from the loft, and the cat can't get up there, but you're tossing food out. The cat's jumping 30 feet into the air, trying to wake you up. I'm picturing all this now. I like the visual capability. Yeah, I like that.
Yeah, this is storytelling. This is March. This is what people came to the show for today.
And by the way, Kyle says she won't wake up. Yeah, she's sitting there with one eye open going, just like, he'll go do it. He'll go do it. He'll go do it.
Well, and for the last week and a half, I refused to feed him when he woke me up because that sets a precedent. That lets him know I'm at war trying to parent this cat. And I've just stopped caring. I'm like, I'm not going to lay here for an hour from 4 to 5 a.m. just putting off the inevitable, which is me getting up and feeding this thing anyways. So,
oh, that's good. It's not like when you get a puppy. When a puppy starts barking at 3 a.m, because he wants to get out. You can let him out, go to the bathroom, but you're not going to feed him. That type of thing. Because I remember going through that with Elmo and Mickey, where you got to get up, you got to go take them out, so they learn to, bark to go outside. But you're not gonna feed them. You give them one little tiny treat for saying good job going outside, and then it's right back to the crate. Come on, let's go. And then once they're crate trained, then they're out. Then I bring them up in bed and they're sleeping with me. Yeah. So okay, I get you. You're going to make a good dad someday.
Well, yeah, these are life lessons I'm learning. So yeah, to go full circle, maybe I will sleep at work tonight. Maybe that sounds nice. Maybe I'll sleep on the chair in Ebo's office.
Oh, that's good stuff. Okay. There you go. So that's a little look into the life that is Grant Bills. 877-867-1670, 877-867-1670. Coming up bottom of the hour, Michael Felger is going to be joining us from the Sports Hub. We're going to talk about anything and everything with him, as a matter of fact. That's going to be good stuff. And also, we got an email here. This is from Steve. Steve says, listening to you explain Ohtani's situation, I can't help but wonder, why does an interpreter have access to $4.5 million? This seems extremely fishy. Let's see if Rob Manfred makes everything very transparent or says nothing behind closed doors about actually what's going on. Right? I'm not agreeing about Manfred saying nothing, but I agree with you, Steve. It's a very bizarre scenario. How you can allow an interpreter. I would assume you have a very good relationship with this person, because he has to. First of all, he hangs with you everywhere you go. It can't be somebody you dislike. But secondly, you got to look at him and as he's the guy that has to express your thoughts and feelings and emotions and such. And by the way, Brian Anderson on the call for the very first game of the NCAA tournament. BA is there, so we'll actually feel like we're at home, because I got the TV and such on here in the studio. Getting ready for the NCAA tournament. Steve, I agree with you though. This is, you can't help but wonder. What comes of this? And as he then goes on to say, and Mike said the same thing too, why would baseball care if he was not betting on baseball? Well, because in California, it's a crime. Sports gambling in California is illegal, which is where, as the story says, that a majority of the gambling had taken place through a bookie in San Diego, then bets into Vegas. So, and for that amount of money, I'm sure that's raising eyebrows. So I don't think baseball would look into it in the sense of, we're going to suspend you because you bet on baseball. No, I think baseball would look at it as, you're committing a crime. And as much as we are in bed with all of these other companies, FanDuels and, and everything with certain advertising within our games, I know my buddy plays, I think it's DraftKings in Cincinnati, and he, throughout games, he'll pick things like will or will a player not get a hit? He'll pick trifectas and 6-play parlays, and he does that all the time. Now, he's not like a crazy gambler. He bets a couple bucks, and he's actually probably won more than he's lost. But they let you do it during the game. So, and I look, if it was on baseball and you've got specifically if it was on baseball and against teams or with teams that Ohtani played for, oh my goodness, then it's a whole different can of worms. Because then he could be getting the inside information. Do you feel good today? Do you not feel good today? Do you pitch well against these particular players? Let me know why. You could be talking about certain parlay bets that he could be placing on the games. There's all kinds of circumstances. I don't think he was betting on baseball. At least that's not the belief of the investigation thus far, or at least they haven't uncovered that or revealed that. But from the way it stands is, what is the next step? What is the next step for this investigation? Where does it go? So I got to think now that they're going to start looking into the transactions, the wires, the transfers, who was verifying them, what specific access did indeed Ohtani's interpreter have to the account, to the funds? Because if he didn't really have, if he wasn't a signer, then it's a whole different can of worms. Then Ohtani might be suspect in all of this. So.
Does this remind you at all? I know it's apples and oranges a little bit, but I wasn't around for what happened with Michael Jordan and his gambling in the 90s. Is this feel? Are there any similarities to this? Try to remember what that was like, and tell me about that.
I remember when Jordan was betting on anything and everything, and David Stern was behind the scenes, the way I understand it, very explicit about the level of gambling that Jordan was doing, and that they wanted to make sure they did their due diligence to say he was never associated with anyone gambling on the NBA. So while Michael was doing it in large quantities, everybody knew Michael owed money. Put it that way. It wasn't a well-kept secret. And this was something that was not rumored after his father died. This was something that was rumored way prior to. That Jordan was betting on everything from horses to baseball to football. I mean, he was betting on golf. He would bet guys. He would go play golf and bet millions of dollars on golf shots and owed people all kinds of money. He was not a great gambler. And then obviously his father was killed, and then it really the rumors started to fly. Now, what was proven and what wasn't proven, what was more rumor? The rumors were he owed people money, and they found his father on the side of the road and they killed him and said, hey, you better pay up. I personally think that Jordan, you don't leave the game in the prime and create this show called The Last Dance when you're going for championship after championship after championship, and you don't all of a sudden go, I'm going to go play baseball. I don't believe that for a second. I think basically he was told, we're going to suspend you. We're going to keep it quiet. We will never mention this, but we have to take action. You go do something, and then this whole, I want to go play baseball was concocted, and he was horrible at it. And then finally he was able to come back. So he did. We all knew he was going to come back in a year, but nobody could ever prove that was the conversation between David Stern and Michael Jordan. This reminds me more so of, when I don't want to say specifically covered it, but when I was growing up, watching Pete Rose go through the investigation of Major League Baseball, because Pete Rose was dealing with steroid dealers in a gym who were his friends, who were collecting bets and taking bets from Pete on many other sports. And then then you start to find out that no, Pete was betting on his team. Not only betting on baseball, but he was betting on his team. The Dowd report specifically states numerous occasions where they got the betting slips. And Pete was betting on his team. Now, the majority of the games, he was betting on his team to win. I don't think he ever bet on the Reds to lose. I think it was more to bet on them to win. But it was betting on baseball. For years, you could walk into any clubhouse and there was like a list of certain things you could do and couldn't do, and the rules of Major League Baseball. And there was like the number one rule was you may not place any wagers on the outcome of any Major League Baseball game at all. You couldn't do it. Or any game affiliated with Major League Baseball. In other words, you couldn't do it for the minor league system as well. So, and as that one went on, and I have insight to this that's different than a lot of people because I was privy to what Bud Selig had given me. And I told you this story before, right, Grant? And if I didn't, I'll continue. Let me do this. Let's take a quick break and I'll come back and I'll give you a little bit of insight into both because it was very interesting as to how things went on, which is why I look at Rob Manfred, and Manfred's, if this turns out to be anything with Ohtani, he's now got a very similar situation to what Bart Giamatti was going through with Pete Rose. Don't go anywhere. Stay tuned. We got more coming up right after this.
Covering Wisconsin sports like a blanket. This is the Bill Michaels Show on the Wisconsin Sports Zone Radio Network.
Make it a real March with a playoff payout at Potawatomi. Every week, you could score your share of 100 grand in cash and free play. Play this March for drawing entries. Win each Thursday. Plus, the prizes refresh every week for even more. Playoff payout at Potawatomi, Milwaukee. It's anyone's game. For more details, visit paysbig.com/payout. Must be 21 and a club member to play.
Bill Michaels will resume in 3 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 2 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 1 minute. Bill Michaels will resume in 30 seconds.
Welcome back. Good to have you. We got a couple minutes here before we break away. We're going to talk to Mark Felger. Mark Felger is from the Sports Hub, and on the East Coast, we're going to talk with him about the Bucks and the Boston Celtics last night. All kinds of good stuff coming up, so don't go anywhere. But real quick, I want to kind of finish up that explanation. When baseball investigated Pete Rose, and everything, kind of culminated. When I first came to town, which is just over 25 years now, one of the first things I was called to do was meet with the commission, because everybody knew I was from Cincinnati, and they wanted to talk to Pete Rose about whether or not he belonged in the Hall of Fame. And I got called to the commissioner's office, Bud Selig's office at the time. Mary Burns, wonderful, wonderful secretary for Bud Selig for a long time, called up and said the commissioner would like to see you. And it was this time of year. I went down there. And he was getting ready to do an interview with Fox for baseball. And I got there, he put everybody on hold, and we went into his office, and he pulled this big book out, starts to talk to me about the Dowd report, and basically said, here you go. This book is enormous. And he had it right there in the lower left-hand portion of his desk and said, here you go. And so the investigation into Pete was thorough. And the bottom line was that they gave Pete Rose every opportunity to come clean. And Pete wouldn't. And they had no choice. You know, it's kind of like when a police officer keeps saying, hey, just give me your driver's license. You know, you're just going to get a fine for this. You know, don't exacerbate the situation. Just, you know, you were doing it. I know you were doing it. So quit trying to fight it. Let's just go. And nobody wants to admit they were wrong, but, you know, Pete was wrong. He just wouldn't. He wouldn't let it go. He wanted to blame everybody else but himself, completely almost narcissistic, and they didn't have a choice. So I think along the way, anything that has gone wrong with particularly a star player, when you get busted doing something, they give you chances. It's like, look, we don't want to just blow you out. Here's some chances to kind of right the wrong and understand what you did, understand your ways, and obviously don't ever do it again. Or we have to take a stance. And that's probably what we're going to find with Ohtani before it's all said and done is, look, you're a huge star in the game. Huge. So let's get to the bottom of this. Never do it again. Distance yourself from this. And this will all just fade away. You know, let's just do it that way. But don't ever do it again or we'll drop the hammer. And I think that's probably where Rob Manfred is going to find this whole situation before it's all said and done. By the way, the Michigan State Spartans off to a quick 18-8 run, knocking down 3 after 3 after 3 and beating the Michigan State Bulldogs right now. Okay, let's do this real quick. We got Michael Felger coming back. Don't go anywhere. More of the Bill Michaels Show is coming up right after this.
Covering Wisconsin sports like a blanket. This is the Bill Michaels Show on the Wisconsin Sports Zone Radio Network.
Bill Michaels will resume in 5 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 4 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 3 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 2 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 1 minute. Bill Michaels will resume in 30 seconds.
Welcome back. Good to have you. The Bill Michaels Show continues on. Michigan State on top in game 1 of the NCAA tournament over Mississippi State, the Bulldogs. 20-8 in that contest. 20-8. There you have it. I believe that's with about 10 minutes to go in the first half, too, by the way. 20-8 right now, Michigan State over Mississippi State. So they have it. We got Michael Felger from Sports Hub over in Boston. Michael, how you doing today, man? What's going on?
Good, Bill. How are you?
We're doing great. Let me ask you first and foremost. Last night, the Bucks lose by 3. Was for the Bucks, no Giannis, maybe a little bit of a moral victory. Did the Boston Celtics take their foot off the gas?
Yeah, but the Celtics have some very, I would call high-class flaws. I think they're the best team in the league. I think they're the team to beat, and they should win the championship. But if they have any flaws, they sort of came out last night, and I think one of those flaws is they get too Jason Tatum-centric. And I don't know if you just noticed in the second half there, they started to walk the ball up the floor. Tatum started to ISO. And I think Jason Tatum kind of shot him out of the lead. And Milwaukee obviously hit some threes and got good energy from Portis and whatnot, obviously. So it wasn't in a vacuum. But if the Celtics had just kept playing the way they played in the first half, spreading the ball and moving the ball and playing with pace, it never would have been a game. But I think Tatum sort of shot him out of it. And they have this thing where it's, again, the best team in the league. They got 3 or 4 guys that can kill you. But I think they have it in their mind that it's got to go through our best player. And Tatum wants to be Kobe Bryant. And so he wants to pound the ball into the floor and back it down. And I think Tatum shot him out of it. So, like, whatever little flaws the Celtics have, they did come out last night.
So I agree with you about the best team in the league. Are the Bucks really the only threat to them? Or matchup-wise, is there another team like a Cleveland that could give them a real threat?
So, no, I think a team that gives them a threat makes it close late, sort of turns it into a street fight, makes Boston gut it out. That's why the Celtics have had trouble with the Heat over the years. The Heat are nowhere near them talent-wise, and Milwaukee suffered this too. But the Heat is nowhere near Boston talent-wise, but they punch them in the mouth, so to speak. And between Tatum, who's on the softer side, I think, super talented player. I think he could be the best player in the league, but on the softer side. And maybe their youth or inexperience or something. There's an intangible quality that Jaylen Brown and Jason Tatum are just kind of lacking. I mean, it comes out in those moments. So the Heat is a team that can do it to them. I think Denver with their savvy, you saw that's how the Celtics lost the finals to the Warriors. I think the Celtics were better than the Warriors that year, but the Warriors had the experience and the mental, physical toughness. And that's sort of it with the, I wish, because I'm from Milwaukee. You wouldn't know this. I'm a Boston guy, but I'm born and raised in Milwaukee, former Bucks season ticket holder. I am a Bucks fan, and I do not like the Celtics. Just, again, from my childhood is like that sort of thing that's just ingrained in me.
Right.
I grew up in the early 80s as a Bucks season ticket holder watching Larry Bird come in to the Mecca every year and just crush us. And so, like, I have that little thing in me that I still don't like the Celtics. So, like, I wish the Bucks had what it took to test Boston on that front, but I don't know if the Bucks do.
What did Drew Holiday bring to the table when he came to the team?
Well, he should bring that thing that I'm talking about.
Yeah.
But for that really he's, they have so many options, and I guess he's the third guy here, but with Porzingis, maybe he's the fourth. And they have Derek White here, who's had an excellent year and is really in the mix. So, with the Bucks, I really feel like Drew Holiday on any given possession was the second guy. I know it was him and Middleton and with Giannis that won it all, but Drew Holiday really, I thought with the Bucks, sort of set tempo a lot of the times. Here, it's much harder to do because he doesn't have the ball as much. And again, Tatum wants the ball ISO'd on one side of the floor, and so Drew Holiday can't really be Drew Holiday. But if they get in the playoffs and let him control the tempo, I think he would make a real difference here.
I like the fact that Boston has just about everything. I mean, I don't really, other than that, when you talk about the ISOs and such, do they have a glaring flaw? Like this is something you can specifically exploit, or is it just that at times Tatum has to have the ball, or at times there's a selfishness to the team? But other than that, is there an exploitable weakness?
Nope. Their flaws are intangible in nature. Their flaws are that thing, mental, physical toughness. To win a championship, you have to take it. You've got to go, at the end of the day, you have to take it from someone like the Bucks did when Giannis scored 50 when the championship was on the table there. Like that, you have to take it from someone. And I still think there's real question whether they get it, whether they know they have to take it. Like there's a thing in the NBA where I think some guys fall into this thing about, well, we're next. And we're just going to win because we're the best, and it's just going to come our way because that's the way it works. You're in the league for a certain amount of time. You get to your seventh year, you get to around 26, 27 years old. You're the best, and you're just going to get it. And I think that the Celtics team sort of lapses into that. And so, no, their flaws are intangible. And I'll just say, they don't have anyone who can match Jokic. So but who does?
Right.
So they just put the Celtics, among the list of teams that if you get into a long series, they have no answer for Nikola Jokic. So if that's a flaw, that's a flaw. Is it a matchup problem? It's a matchup problem. But, that's it.
Is Mazzulla the guy, the X's and O's guy, and the motivator guy, and the control guy that has the capability of putting that all together with this team down a stretch run?
No, I don't. I think the coach is a flaw. Fair enough. You want to say what are their flaws? I would put coaching on the list. I also think, God, it's so rare that a coach gets in the way of a championship team. I mean, if your best players are ready to win a championship, your coach has to epically suck to get in the way of that. And Mazzulla doesn't epically suck. He's just, their play style to me is a little bit of a problem. They are really 3-point centric, and they're heavily analytic. And the analytics in basketball tell you that the 3-point shot's the most efficient shot in basketball, and you never take a long two, and always kick to the open three. You could have chances inside for an easy two, but if there's an open corner three, you kick it out to an open corner. I mean, a lot of teams play that way. The Bucks had a possession like that last night that I remember. That sort of drives you nuts as a traditional basketball fan. I think the Celtics take it a little too far, and Mazzulla just buys in hook, line, and sinker. He's heavily analytic. Believes the 3-point rate is the most important stat in basketball. And so, Yeah, their play style bothers me at times, and I don't think Missoula. He's a young and experienced guy, and I think he's too driven by the numbers, and so I don't think Missoula is necessarily value add. But is he bad enough to get in the way if they're ready to win a championship? No. If Brown and Tatum are ready to win a championship, they're going to win a championship.
I want to ask you a little perspective because Doc Rivers comes into this situation, takes the team over. They are playing better now that they've gotten through the All-Star break. But I said anybody probably would have been able to win with a motivated Kevin Garnett, Paul Pierce, Ray Allen, or Rajon Rondo. I mean, you can go through that whole list, Posey, Perkins. Did he accentuate, like you said, or was he just not epic enough bad to get in the way of what those guys were able to do?
Okay. So Doc's good with the personalities, and that's what I think that's what the Bucks need. I mean, if you want to talk about last night quickly, the Bucks did go to that zone in the second half, and it worked. Is that Doc's call, or who do we got there on the bench that would make that call? Because typically that's not like Doc Rivers' strength or what he would do. So it was sort of like a tactical X and O thing last night that I thought was good, and it worked. And I normally wouldn't credit Doc for that, but what Doc Rivers needs to do, and what he did here, is he got Garnett, Ray Allen, Paul Pierce to buy in. He gave it a name. It's actually called Ubuntu. I don't know if you know what that is. It's an African word that means togetherness and unselfishness. And he sort of, he really imparted that to the team. They all bought in, and it was a personality thing. It wasn't an X and O thing. It wasn't, necessarily a coaching thing. It was more like a personality thing. And boy, when I watch Lillard closely in some of these moments, I think the Bucks need that desperately. Where I don't know if Lillard is all in on being a Milwaukee Buck. I feel like he's vacant or not there, or I feel like, I know he went for 31 last night and had some, as usual, jaw-dropping moments, but then there's other times I watch him up and down the floor, and I feel like he's kind of half out to lunch. And so, like, for the Bucks' perspective, I mean, look, they need to learn how to play defense better. Like, that's obvious. Right. But I think he's got to get Lillard bought into being a Milwaukee Buck as much as anything. And so that's, to me, what Doc Rivers has to do there.
We're talking with Michael Felger from the Sports Hub in Boston. Real quick, give me your, I guess I got two more questions for you. And one is, give me your thoughts on Giannis. We talk about Jokic and nobody can match up with him. Give me your thoughts on Giannis, because I'm now questioning, has Giannis hit his ceiling? Like, he is what he is now, and he needs pieces around him to accentuate.
100%. 100% he plateaued, which is, at a really high plateau.
Right.
That's a mountain plateau. It's way up there. I'm not telling you the guy sucks. He's obviously still one of the best players in the league. But, I mean, you remember for years and years and years, people said, rightly so, if he ever learned how to shoot, forget about it. And there was a time where people said, well, when he gets out to the three-point line like everybody else, look out. It's unstoppable, which I think was stupid. Like, he should never shoot three-pointers. He doesn't need a 25-foot shot. He needs a 10-foot shot. He needs an 8-foot shot. If Giannis could consistently just stop at 8 feet, if you could just stop inside the free throw line and rise up and hit that shot, game over. Never mind his free throws. But he doesn't even do that consistently enough, and that sort of stopped, I don't know, you tell me, 3-4 years ago, and I feel like he hit that level. And it's a great level, but he never hit that next place where you would say, oh, when he learns how to shoot, it's really over, because he still hasn't really learned how to shoot.
I completely agree with you. He just hasn't been consistent enough. And then there are times he insists on taking threes, and he's gotten better at it. Don't get me wrong. But handling the basketball and much like Tatum, needing the basketball at times can become frustrating to watch as a fan, and specifically in big moments.
Yeah, I don't know if you could tell. I'd rather talk Bucks than Celtics. I don't think the offense should go through him. I really don't. I think when Giannis is ISO and he's just pounding the ball into the floor, it's like, and there's no threat of him and sometimes he does it, obviously sometimes he does, but for the most part, there's no real threat of him just stopping and popping from 12 feet. And if he does, you'll give it to him.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, so this is what I want Doc to do. Somehow the ball has to go through Lillard, but it's still Giannis's team, and Lillard is not used to it not being his team. Like, they got to figure that thing out. And if Lillard doesn't even want to be here, then where are you? Like, that's sort of the Bucks problem.
Right.
And Giannis, I don't think the ball should go through Giannis, but I think he insists on it, and whatever he wants, he's going to get, as he should. It's the league. So they're kind of in a spot with that, I think.
Hey, real quick, one more question, and that was give me your thoughts on the Patriots. Obviously, they're going to be trying to get themselves a quarterback, trying to get themselves right, life after Bill Belichick, all that kind of stuff.
Oh, they're in a bad spot. They're horrible, and I don't think they fully realize it, which is like the worst part. The worst part, excuse me. I think they're blaming Belichick for everything that's gone wrong the last couple of years, and Bill is largely responsible. I mean, don't make no mistake. Bill had, almost complete control, and it was his decision making. But they think that some of the guys that worked underneath him, including Elliott Wolf, who obviously your listeners are very familiar with his father and all of that, they think between Elliott Wolf and some of the other guys they have in personnel and all the coaches that they hired, a lot of whom are just retreads. I mean, Alex Van Pelt and Ben McAdoo, both of former Packer assistants. Those guys are like the chief offensive thinkers, visionary, quote unquote visionaries on the team. I don't know. For some reason, they think just getting Bill out of there is going to solve all their problems. And I don't know if they've restaffed as well as they could. They have a rookie first-time head coach who's a linebackers coach. And they're just going to sit at 3 and take a quarterback, which, a lot of people out here are talking about. They're going to do the Packer way. It's the Packer way. It's the Packer way. And you're trying to tell people the Packer way is not to bottom out and just take the highest quarterback on the board and throw him out there as a rookie. Like, it's really kind of just the opposite. You find the next guy before the current guy's done, and you spend as long as it takes developing them behind the scenes. And your head coach is an offensive coach. He's not a linebackers coach. And so I think the Patriots are in a bad way. And the worst part is I don't think they fully get it.
Great stuff, Michael. I could talk to you for hours, man. I appreciate all your time, and thanks for coming on. And we will talk again soon, specifically as the postseason gets underway, okay?
My pleasure. Anytime.
Thanks, pal. Talk to you soon. There you go. Milwaukee native and now East Coast guy, Mike Felger with the Sports Hub out in Boston, and talking to us a little bit about what's going on Boston sports-wise. And we'll touch his knowledge again once we get to the postseason and the Bucks start to look down the barrel of the Celtics and see how things go. Stay tuned. We got more of the Bill Michaels Show coming up right after this.
Ready? This is the Bill Michaels Show on the Wisconsin Sports Zone Radio Network.
Bill Michaels will resume in 3 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 2 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 1 minute. Bill Michaels will resume in 30 seconds.
Hard to find. Streets of stone. Modern warriors. Satellite horses of chrome. Taste wild.
Good to have you back. It is, bars, restaurants, haunts, everywhere open, serving. And you look at a place like our friends at Boondocks Barbecue Restaurant and Market. They got pizza. They've got pizzas. They've got wraps. They have all kinds of good things going on right now. And a Hawaiian flatbread special this week. The prime fajita wrap this week. The honey balsamic BLAT this week. So, and obviously the fish fry on Friday. But if you want to go over there and check out the games, they have TVs all over the place. If you want to go check out the games, County Road K in Oconomowoc. County Road K in Oconomowoc. That is Boondocks Barbecue Burgers and Brews. Basically, they're in Salem. Or Stonebank, Wisconsin, technically. But all that area out there is considered Oconomowoc. If you want to call them for hours and such, 727-7255. I've screwed everything up. 262-727-7255 or go to Boondocks BBQ. BoondocksBBQS.com. BoondocksBBQS.com. You can see everything, all the information. Follow them. Boondocks Barbecue Restaurant and Market on Facebook as well. And you can see all of their great specials, where they're located, the hours of operation, all that kind of good stuff. So if you want to go watch some games, you can do so. That's our friends over there at Boondocks. So there you go. Good stuff from Michael Felger, Grant. He's a wealth of information. He's right. You can certainly tell his East Coast bias when it comes to the Boston Celtics. But he speaks a lot of truth, too, that the Celtics are kind of just breathing air until they get to the postseason. But are you in agreement with him that really the team that can be the most pesky is the Miami Heat?
Yeah, the Heat. And I think the Bucks are in that group, too. It's just the Bucks have had a really weird couple of years, like kind of like Virginia basketball, honestly. Like they have the title, but they had the really disappointing exit in the bubble and then really disappointing against the Heat last year. And Giannis got hurt. But that series they played in 2022 against the Celtics, I think that's been the best Bucks team of any of these runs. It's just that Middleton got hurt.
Mm-hmm.
I think this Bucks team, when they're right and they're locked in, they're as nasty as anybody. It's just they've had some off years the last 4 or 5 years, and I don't know what to do with that.
Steven says it's insane to me that people are acting like the Bucks are so far behind the Celtics. Lots of changes this year, and they will be primed for the playoffs, in my opinion. They're going to be primed for the playoffs. But to what level they play is yet to be seen. I'm Steven, I'm glad you're confident. Maybe you watch the Bucks every minute of every day. I don't know. I don't know what kind of a Bucks enthusiast you are. But just from what I've watched, they turn it on, turn it off. And that's kind of the NBA. Don't get me wrong. But the level that Boston has played to versus what the Bucks have played to are two different levels. And we saw last year the Bucks, they can be as dominant as they want to be, and then they, for whatever reason, shut it off. And we saw them with heavy legs, dead legs, slow feet, whatever you want to call it, against Miami. And one man, Jimmy Butler, they could not stop him. And now you've got 3 and 4, Tatum, Holiday, Porzingis. You can go through the whole list. They have got talent over there. Do they have better matchups than what the Bucks can handle? And as he said, I would agree with him. If you can get Dame to fully buy in, this is what Dame came here for. Because remember, he was talking about going to Miami. And then Giannis and the Bucks made the run, and he came here. Steven says, well, the Bucs aren't the only ones that put up stinkers in the playoffs. Well, who cares? I don't care. The bottom line is the Bucs are the team that we're looking to win and be consistent. We haven't seen consistency for a majority of the season. That's all I'm saying is a team is who they are by this point in time. We said it last year. No, they're going to turn it on in the postseason, and they didn't. So I don't know what makes everybody think that all of a sudden they're going to just flip the switch and off they go. They've got the talent. They've established the talent. But last year, I got criticized same time last year for saying, look, they're going to have problems. No, they're not. No, they're not. And then they got their ass handed to them. I hope I'm wrong. But what I see is a inconsistent consistency. Doc Rivers has helped them elevate play, but it's been inconsistent. We'll talk about this when we come back. Stay tuned. A lot more of the Bill Michaels Show coming up right after this.
This is a Wisconsin Sports Zone update.
Well, the NCAA tournament is underway as first-round games are taking place today. Wisconsin going to have to wait to take the floor, not doing so until late tomorrow night against James Madison. Badgers head into the game as the number 5 seed and coming off a 4-day stretch in the Big Ten tournament where they played some of their best basketball of the year. So after missing out on the NCAAs last year, guys like Chucky Hepburn want to make the most of their opportunity this time around.
You know, my mindset is we got to take it one game at a time. You know, we've been here before. And, you know, we lost the second round, and I don't want to just go make March Madness. I want to make a deep run in this tournament. So, you know, I'm just trying to lock in, you know, make sure my teammates are locked in, and I really want to make a deep run in this tournament.
Again, the Badgers will face 12-seeded James Madison tomorrow night in Brooklyn. Tip at the Barclays Center set for around 8:40. Meanwhile, Marquette also in action tomorrow afternoon as the 2-seed taking on 15th-seeded Western Kentucky in Indianapolis. Turning the Bucs, they're back home to face Brooklyn at Fiserv Forum tonight. Milwaukee put up a fight against Boston last night, but fell without Giannis Antetokounmpo. Tip tonight is at 8.
Rural Mutual Insurance, keeping Wisconsin strong.
Rural Mutual is the #1 farm insurer in Wisconsin for a good reason. As a company founded by farmers, they understand the ag industry and its challenges. Local agents offer farm families the best advice and personalized coverage. Visit ruralmutual.com to find an agent near you.
Rural Mutual Insurance, keeping Wisconsin strong.
Well, we're a week out from the start of the regular season for the Brewers. They're going to take on the Mets next Thursday in New York. They'll get the home portion of their schedule going the following Tuesday against Minnesota. And the Women's Frozen Four going to get going tomorrow night. Wisconsin will take on Colgate. Winner will get either Ohio State or Clarkson in the title game. With this Wisconsin Sports Zone Network update, I'm Zach Heil.
That was an incredibly fast 2 hours. But we're dancing. Oh, what a day it is. It's underway. You got Michigan State tipped off early today. Excited about the tournament. You got another one, Duquesne and BYU. They are underway. 10:36 left to go in the first half of that contest. Duquesne up by 7 over BYU, 17-10. And you got halftime right now. Mississippi State, which was down at one point 20-8, now down 7. Michigan State 31-24 at the half. The next game on the docket, about 27 minutes away, Akron and Creighton in the Midwest Regional. And that's at PPG Paints Arena in Pittsburgh. And then, and by the way, that's on TNT. Then TBS has Long Beach State and Arizona. You'll have those 4 games going. And then once the Michigan State game culminates, you've got the number 1 North Carolina Tar Heels taking on Wagner, who just won the other night, the 16th seed in the tournament. Wagner, who played to get in Dayton on Tuesday night, taking on North Carolina. So, and that's at the Spectrum Center in Charlotte, North Carolina, which is where Michigan and Mississippi State are playing. So there you have it. We were talking Bucks just before we went to the top of the hour break. And Grant, do you deal with like hardcore Bucks fans?
Yeah.
That get angry?
Yeah. Not with me so much on air. Sometimes I see their tweets. It's a very active Twitter fan base, Bucks fandom.
People get so mad. Like, you don't know what you're talking about. And I went through this last year and I caved. And I kicked myself for it. Because I caved. I thought, okay, you know what? You're seeing something I'm not. I caved. And then they got it handed to them by Miami. I'm not caving this year. This team has been inconsistent. This team has not shot well. This team has been lazy. This team has been all the adjectives that we've given throughout the season. Go back to even when Adrian Griffin was the head coach. Has Doc Rivers made it better? Absolutely. 100%. This team is a better team. Looks to be at least a more cohesive team, but they still have lapses where they look disinterested. Now, we're going to hear all the excuses. Well, it was without Giannis. Well, it's the regular season. They're just making sure they're ready for the postseason. Okay. These are all the same things that were said last year. I think the Bucks have the ability to get to the Eastern Conference Finals and face whomever. And if that's the Boston Celtics, so be it. But I need to see them play a full 4 quarters of basketball and to do it in more than just one game. For me to go, okay, they're back. We thought they were back. We thought they were dominant. Then they went on the West Coast trip. And then it was, well, it's West Coast. Well, they didn't shoot well. Well, it was all the excuses. They went 1-3. They went 1-3. A lot of the same problems reared their ugly head. I saw it again last night in the first half of that ball game. Doc made a few changes. Things began to change. Momentum began to swing, and the Bucks came roaring back. And I give them credit for it. But because you show effort doesn't make you necessarily a consistent team, and it doesn't make you a consistently winning team. You're going to win a lot of games because you've got better talent than most teams on a night in, night out basis. But can you go to that next level? And don't tell me you're going to flip the switch. Because I don't know any team in the history of teams that have just flipped the switch. Now, I've seen them get healthy. I've seen them get healthy just before the season ended and then start to hit their stride. Okay, we've seen all of that. We've seen teams that really fight like the Dickens down to the last second because they know it's a do or die situation. Okay. But it's very rare that the level of play just flips the switch. Like things are just, well, it's a postseason. Now we're going to play. It doesn't happen that way. It just doesn't. So if the talent shows up with the heart and hustle behind it, absolutely. It's a very dominant team. But if it doesn't and it takes lapses, then we're going to be in the exact same situation we were last year.
I think a lot of Bucks fans don't like being told that this team might not be good enough. And look, there's only one team that gets to go to the finals from the East. There's only one team that gets to win it. Okay. So if we as a Bucks fandom community, whether you're optimistic, pessimistic, can all agree that the Bucks might not win the title this year and operate from there, I think the conversations are so much better. Like I think the Bucks can get into a 7-game series with anybody in basketball and win. The question is, can they do it 3 times in a row in the East? And then could they do it again in the I don't know. But I think they have the horses when healthy. And I think they have the attitude and the personalities too. It's on them to go do it. And I have yet to really see consistently this year that they are the team that's wired that way to go do it. We'll see.
Yes.
We will see.
That is 100%. Do they have the talent? Hell yeah. Hell yeah, they have the talent to do it. But will they do it? Because we've seen the issues. Here's the thing. And Steven said it. He said, I hope it's like the Packers. Everybody wrote off Love in the defense, and then they pulled it together. They pulled it together with about 6 games to go in the season. That's exactly what I'm talking about. They look terrible. Okay? I was writing them off. Other people were writing them off. National people were writing them off. They called them the most disappointing team at the midway point of the season. Remember that? And then they put it together. Yes, they figured it out before they got to the postseason. They didn't flip a switch. They just all of a sudden started working harder. They were talking to one another. Nuances began to show. They were using the competition on the offensive line to get better. Apparently, Devondre Campbell went to Matt LaFleur and said, hey, dude, this ain't working. Okay? You're listening to Sleepy Joe over here. It ain't working. Okay? We got to be more aggressive. We've got to be able to do certain things. We got to be more anticipatory. We've got to be able to bring the defense to the offense, not wait for the offense to bring it to the defense and then react. We've got to be better. Okay? And suddenly it started to happen. You saw, some of the young guys begin to come of age. They started to age a little bit, but it happened over time. They didn't get to the postseason and then flip a switch. They were peaking at the right time. That's my point. Are the Bucs peaking right now? Getting ready for because you only got, how many games do they have left? Do you know off the top of your head?
I think about 15. Ballpark.
Okay. So 15 games left, we'll say. 15 games. So if I'm going to say this team needs to be peaking, and part of it is, and this is going to just get up my ass, but this whole, we're going to load manage down the stretch. So are they going to be peaking or are they going to be resting? So they've got, what do they have here? Okay. You've got Brooklyn tonight. You got a 3-game stretch at home. Brooklyn, then OKC, which is a good team. The Lakers, which are fighting like hell to try to remain, relevant out west. Then you've got the Pelicans, the Hawks, Wizards, Grizzlies, blah, blah, blah. Okay. So if you're going to start, say, peaking, at what point do they peak? Because 2, 3, 4, April 9th is when they play the Celtics at home. The 2 nights before that, April 7th, is when they play the Knicks at home, the Raptors at home and on the 5th. And then, so every other day they've got a game at the Fiserv Forum. By the time they get off not the West Coast trip, but when they get done with these 3 games at home, then they go on the road for 3 against the Pelicans, the Hawks, and the Wizards. My guess is when you get to that 4-game, 5-game stretch at home, you better be peaking. You better be hitting your stride, including the Celtics, if you're going to peak and then go to the postseason. Now it's a little different because football is one and done, and the NBA, you get 7 shots at it. We all know that. But you better be peaking and playing some of your best basketball by the time the Knicks get here, right? The Knicks, the Celtics, the Magic, the Thunder, the Magic again, whatever. You got 5-6 games there that you have that ability to, quote, peak. So we got another week or so going into April. All right, I'll give you that. But at that point in time, if you're still seeing the same old, I don't have a lot of optimism for them getting to the Eastern Conference Finals or, God forbid, to an NBA Finals. And you're right. I think a lot of Bucs fans get pissed off when you tell them the team can't do it. Because they're all in, man. They're wearing the jerseys. They're wearing the hats. They're wearing the Giannis stuff. They're wearing Giannis underwear, Giannis sneakers. They got everything. They're winning it. Dame Time, he's the guy. But if Dame Time doesn't bring you a championship, then what? Because you don't have anything left. You're going to trade away quality for quality. Now you're just swapping stuff. Then what you thought was going to take you over the top isn't, and it sucks. And as a fan, I agree with you. It sucks. But this team, it's not you and I, it's this team and the talent that they have. They have the ability to win. It's whether or not they're going to be able to put it all together. And they're all buying in.
2 things. I loved what Mike said about you have to take a championship from someone to win a title. I think that's very, very true. It's not going to be the yellow brick road all the way through the NBA Finals. And I think along those same lines, you think back to the Bucs title run in 2021, there were plenty of moments where things weren't going great during that playoff run. The playoffs are so long. There's so many games where you can drop 2 to the Nets or drop 2 to the Suns and think, oh my God, this doesn't look good. But there's still so much runway to pull out of that. Mm-hmm. So I need a Bucs team that's resilient enough to take an awful loss on the chin and realize it's only 1 game of 7 and be able to bounce back, because it's not going to be easy. Mike said, and I love it, you need to take the championship from someone else. And I think the Bucs can do that, But I'm not going to sit here and guarantee it and tell Bucs fans, oh yeah, they're going to the final. We don't know. They have to go take it. I have to see it.
Yep. And I want to see, and the other thing that I want to see Middleton take the pressure off of Dame, and Dame take the pressure off of Giannis, and Crowder take some of the pressure off of Lopez to be perfect defensively, and Lopez to be able to play and take some of the pressure off of, Bobby Portis, and Bobby Portis coming off the bench and still being able to hit shots and take the pressure off of the guys that are the starters. That to me is a team that's like, we got this. What we're seeing now is scrambling. It's very reactive and not proactive. And I want to see more proactive. Like you said, they got to go take it. And can they? Absolutely. I think this team's probably one of the top 3-4 teams in the league talent-wise, hands down. But they haven't proven it continuously or consistently in the same style of play. So I'm just I'm hanging in there like the rest of you fans. But some fans get so mad. Oh my God! If you don't talk Bucs 24/7, then you have no idea what you're talking about. I'm like, no. We do, because we've watched this movie before. All I'm telling you is that you're starting to see foreshadowing for the same outcome that we've seen in years past. And what you want to do is don't want to believe it. It's like you're holding your hands over your eyes going, la, 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 la. I don't want to hear it. I don't want to see it. Just let it play out and let me be disappointed on my own. 877-867-1670, 877-867-1670. Hit us up. Want to get back at it. We've got some tournament action going on. We've got some scores to give you when we come back. Whole lot more of the Bill Michaels Show on this. We are dancing Thursday. Stay tuned. More of the Bill Michaels Show next.
This is the Bill Michaels Show on the Wisconsin Sports Zone Radio Network.
0% interest for up to 3 years at Pella Windows and Doors of Wisconsin. I'm Gina Della from Pella. Pella's free in-home consultations make replacing or redesigning your windows and doors easy. We go beyond just measuring and handing you a quote. We take the time to listen and educate you on all your product options. And with DesignWorks, you can see what your home will look like before you buy. Whether you're looking to replace your windows due to damage or it's time for a refresh and you'd like to revitalize your home style, choosing from Pella's wide range of windows and doors will complement your home's unique design. Pella can also customize, providing nearly endless possibilities for maximum design flexibility with dramatic sizes, custom colors, finishes, profiles, product types, and more. Order by March 31st to get 0% interest for up to 3 years. Set your free consultation at PellaWI.com.
Certain restrictions apply.
Bill Michaels will resume in 3 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 2 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 1 minute. Bill Michaels will resume in 30 seconds.
Welcome back. Good to have you. The Bill Michaels Show. We continue on. Hey, if you're out and about today, tomorrow, good fish fry out in the La Crosse area. Buzzard Billy's on Pearl Street in La Crosse. In that 1860s brick hotel right there on Pearl Street. Starlight Lounge upstairs. Both great places. Make it a point. You can check out some tournament action there. You can check out some fish fry action there tomorrow. Or maybe just a good date night out at Starlight Lounge on the weekend. Regardless, it's an awesome place to go. The menu continuously kind of gets enhanced, and I love it. Every time I'm in La Crosse, whether it's for a cigar dinner, affiliate visit, whatever, always make it a point to stop over to the Buzzard Billy's in the Starlight Lounge. Love that place. Pearl Street in La Crosse, Wisconsin. Tell them we sent you too, because I always appreciate it when you do that. Joining us now, J.R. Radcliffe, Journal Sentinel, and just kind of a potpourri of stuff joining us on the hotline. J.R., how you been, man?
I have been great, Bill. How have you been?
I'm good. Let me ask you this, because you had wrote a piece about a lot of different connections, Wisconsin connections, when it comes to the NCAA tournament. You obviously do some stuff with Jim Owczarski regarding the Milwaukee Bucks, a plethora of sports in the state of Wisconsin. Where would you like to start?
Well, we can start with the NCAA tournament, since that's the thing that's going on right now, if you'd like.
Let's do that. So first and foremost, you wrote the piece about all the different connections. What is the most intriguing storyline in the tournament that you have found doing the writing that you have done?
So this particular thing, the story you're referring to, is something that actually we just re-upped it for this year with a couple new names. We had it last year as well. Just charting every major Wisconsin performer in the NCAA tournament, whether that's coaches or players. There's some obvious ones, like guys on great Marquette or Wisconsin teams. There's a lot of guys who were from the state of Wisconsin, who played for other teams. Arike Ogunbowale, who had that singular performance for the Notre Dame women's team, is right at the top of the list. A lot of coaches, a lot of names people will know. And then, I like to think a lot of names people have forgotten about over time or didn't realize were closely connected to Wisconsin. So there's a lot of good ones in there. But if I were talking about this year's tournament, some of the more interesting connections, I was really interested in that Grambling game last night. Mm-hmm. Grambling State against Montana State. There's tons of Milwaukee kids on Grambling State. It's it's a school in Louisiana. Their coach, Dante Jackson, is from Milwaukee originally, played at UW-Milwaukee briefly. And they've got a guy who played at UWM last year. They've got kids from the state, and then they've got a guy who transferred from Milwaukee Area Technical College, which people may not even know has a basketball program, but they do, of course. And he transferred into Grambling State. They rallied back. So really excited to see what they can do against Purdue, because as everyone knows, the 16 seed beat Purdue coming through that first 4 game last year. So Grambling State is going to get a turn to make history happen twice. That's what I'm really fascinated in. Tons of coaches in this tournament have Wisconsin ties, from Tony Bennett, who's now gone, of course, out of the tournament, but Nate Oates at Alabama, Dante Jackson, like I said, a lot of assistants have ties to Wisconsin. There's Lamont Paris from South Carolina, Shaka Smart, of course. So it's cool. There are a lot of Wisconsin things in this tournament. I think 10, 15 years ago, you would have been hard pressed to find that, but we have it now. I mean, there's Wisconsin guys all over this tournament.
You know, it was an interesting. I was reading a piece, and I can't remember if you or Jeff wrote it, but I was reading a piece about Greg Gard. And you go to the tournament this time of year, and it used to be you go to the tournament, your team was featured. It was easier to recruit. You had one of your assistants out trying to find other guys throughout whatever state it happens to be that's coming off of their state tournaments, and recruiting was a thing. And it still is, but you also now have the transfer portal. Things begin to open up. You got to look who's getting into it, who may or may not be getting into it, who may bolster your team, your feelings you don't want to hurt. Has recruiting and what they've done with the portal has, especially this time of year when you're getting ready to go into the NCAA tournament, your mind also has to be in another place, and that is getting better next year and the year after that, correct?
100%. I mean, without question. And the thing that the NCAA does that I don't understand right now is that they open the transfer portal basically the Monday after Selection Sunday. So you've got teams that are already falling apart before they can even get into the postseason. Now, teams in the NCAA tournament maybe don't have guys leaving, but this is one of the reasons teams don't want to play in the NIT anymore, because guys are suddenly transferring. The coaches don't want to have to worry about preparing for a random game in the NIT, which doesn't have the luster, obviously, the NCAA tournament. They want to be out there recruiting. They want to be looking at guys who are, there's already hundreds of names in the transfer portal. You've got to go start about looking ahead to next season. So that's a huge problem. And having to re-recruit your own roster is something that coaches are really facing. That's obviously very, very difficult challenge. Imagine trying to scheme for some of the best programs in the nation, all while trying to convince the kid on the bench that he's going to have a huge role next year, and you don't want him transferring, and looking around while the tournament is going on, because you know that you're going to need him next year. It's an impossible situation for coaches to be in. It's a very difficult landscape right now, and they'll talk about it. They'll tell you. Some of it sounds like whining, I guess, if you're in a fan's position, but it's a very real problem right now in college basketball.
Well, let's take, for example, you see a guy like Holtman gets fired by Ohio State, and we talk about whether or not you should or shouldn't see a coach move around, but yet you see Holtman get fired by Ohio State. He's already been installed as the new head coach at DePaul. So he can go start pilfering that backyard almost immediately for transfer portal guys to try to bring in, which I think no announcement should be made. Nothing should be changed until you finish the NCAA season. Correct? Is that the best way to do it?
Yeah, I mean, yes, or at least just push it back a few weeks. Like, even if you get it past the Elite Eight part, like during the Elite Eight weekend, once that's complete and you're headed toward the Final Four, like maybe that's a good time. That's a couple extra weeks, but it just gives teams a time to celebrate their successes, to get into their postseasons, whether or not it's an NCAA tournament, to talk to their players now that the season's coming to an end, ask them what they want to do with their future. You've got no time for any of that. The season ends and boom, guys are transferring all over the country. And it's such a game of pinball. Like, there's, like I said, there's hundreds of people out there. You have to know something about those guys. How can you not be recruiting while the tournament is going on? Because you have to have an eye on what's going on everywhere else. So yes, I agree. There needs to be a movement of the date, if nothing else. Just a couple weeks. Give these coaches some time to finish their season before they have to worry about the next one. But that's not the nature of what we got right now.
Let's talk about both teams. We got Wisconsin and Marquette in the postseason and in the tournament. Both teams going to be playing tomorrow, 8:40 tomorrow night for Wisconsin. 1 o'clock, I think, 1 or 2 o'clock tomorrow afternoon for Marquette. Marquette gets Western Kentucky. Marquette had a hell of a season. They finished that season without Tyler Kolek and still played extremely well. They're supposed to get Kolek back tomorrow. How far do you feel Marquette goes in this tournament?
Well, I mean, obviously it relates to Kolek's health, which by all accounts, like you said, sounds like he's going to play and be fine, no restrictions or whatever. But, I feel like an oblique injury is one of those things that kind of lingers, and, one wrong twist or whatever. So that's always going to be, I think, a little nerve-wracking in the back of Marquette fans' minds. If he stays healthy, I mean, I think this Marquette team has a really good shot. I think their pathway is pretty reasonable. Like, I wouldn't, Florida or Colorado, does that really scare you if you're Marquette in the second round? I don't think it does, and I will point out that, we maybe don't talk about this enough, but a 15 seed has made the Sweet 16 in 3 consecutive NCAA tournaments. So you can't rule anything out in the first round, but I still think Marquette's in really good position to make a deep run here. And it's been a long time coming. getting that first win last year, getting your feet wet before getting upset by Michigan State, that leaves a hunger a little bit. You've got 3 guys who are probably going to be in the NBA next year, or if not next year, soon. So that's an uncommon amount of talent on one Marquette team, and they've been together a long time. All the pieces are there, certainly. The only thing you can't account for is the randomness of March and the injury situation with Tyler Kolek if it flares back up. Those are the things standing in their way. That's it.
Now we look at Wisconsin, and James Madison likes to score. They like to get physical. They like to be on the glass. It's a good team. I mean, they've put up 30 wins, and they're no pushover by any stretch of the imagination. But Wisconsin, to me, right now is playing really good basketball. I think they just got a little gassed against Purdue, fell a little bit short against Illinois, but I think they're playing really good, confident basketball now. How far does this team get, do you see?
Yeah, what a flip of a switch, huh? To just go from where they were all through February and the early part of March to just being that team again that was top 10 in the country. That's how they played in the Big Ten tournament, like a top 10 team. They beat Purdue and, could have beaten Illinois there. And Illinois is a really, really good team. And Wisconsin was right with them until the very end. So definitely a big shot in the arm. I'm not maybe it's just the natural pushback that comes with, everyone in the world thinks James Madison is a big upset pick against Wisconsin. Certainly before the Big Ten tournament, I would have thought anybody matched up with Wisconsin would have a really good chance to win. But now, I don't know. I feel like too many people are believing in James Madison, and Wisconsin will end up winning that game just fine. Anybody like Wisconsin has played. They had their game opening the year against Michigan State, and that's it. Wisconsin has had a much tougher schedule game in and game out. They're battle tested. They're experienced. They should win. That game against Duke is going to, if that's what comes to pass, is sure going to have a lot of people's attention. Going back to 2015, this is not that level of Duke team by any means, but they have dudes, as they always do. They've got NBA guys on that team. I love Wisconsin's chances. I don't know if it's if I'm just allowing myself this optimism that I didn't imagine would be there at this time of year with how bad February went for UW, but I love their chances to get to the Sweet 16. I feel like it's there for them. I feel like they're going to beat Duke, and I think they're going to keep on marching. Maybe they go even a little bit further. That's just where they feel like they flipped a switch to that level in my mind. I
know you do some stuff with Jim Ozarski as well regarding the Bucks. We've been talking Bucks for about the last hour. I wanted to ask you this because I said last year I didn't listen to my gut, and I ended up looking stupid because I didn't think the Bucks were going to be a team that were going to go far because they just were way too inconsistent. They frittered away too many leads. They didn't play great defense. And sure enough, we saw them get beat almost single-handedly by Jimmy Butler and the Miami Heat. This year, it's been inconsistent. It's been better since they bring Doc Rivers in. But what I see in certain games is not a team that's grabbing it, but a team that's more reacting to situations. Is this Bucks team a championship medal team?
I do think they are. I'm really encouraged by the improvements they made once Doc Rivers showed up. But here's the piece we just don't have is seeing it all together. Like Chris Middleton is finally back. And then Giannis isn't there against Boston, a team that they're probably going to face in the postseason. Now, the returns are really good. They lost the game, but look great. In a way, even though Damian Lillard didn't shoot the lights out by any means, it feels like they could even live without Giannis. Having Damian Lillard there to try to close things down the way Bobby Portis played in the fourth quarter, it feels like they still have the horses to compete with anybody in the NBA. But we just haven't seen it. And at some point, you get this late in the season, it's like, don't you have to see it? Don't you have to know it's working as a machine before you can say to yourself, okay, this team is good enough to get to the NBA Finals or win the NBA title? I don't know. I mean, as encouraging as last night was, I don't think we have really seen anything over the course of the NBA season that says this Bucks team is definitely going to win a series against the Boston Celtics. I think Boston's not even a bad matchup for Milwaukee. I think they can handle the matchup. I just think Boston is just that much better than Milwaukee right now. So that roadblock is always in the way. Not to mention that I would be concerned about any matchup with Cleveland or the Knicks. The Pacers have given them problems this year. So there's definitely some bad matchups out there. And Milwaukee, I don't think, should be favored to get to the finals at this point. But when all those pieces come together, Giannis, Chris Middleton healthy, Dame finally having turned the corner halfway through the season, if that's all out there, then heck, that's a championship team. Of course it is. So just got to see it. Got to have some runway before the playoffs of everybody there and, performing as a unit. And then you can maybe see where they can go from there.
No doubt. JR, great stuff as always. We appreciate it. And we're going to pick your brain again real soon. Okay.
Sounds great, man. Anytime. I'll talk to you later.
Thanks so much, pal. There you go. That's J.R. Radcliffe, Journal Sentinel. Always good. You can find a lot of different stuff of his over there. They do some podcasts and such you can catch, and it's always good to catch up with those guys. This portion of the program brought to you by our friends at Dream Vacations. Michael and Melissa, if it's a resort, you want to get away, you want to go sit on the sand, you want to go have some all-inclusive drinks, there you go. You want to take a cruise? How about a sports travel trip? Maybe something overseas you want to do, a trip of a lifetime. They can help you out and plan and book your next amazing getaway. Call them 414 in Milwaukee, 414-208-4221. And if you are anywhere in the state of Wisconsin, they can help you out. 414-208-4221. They can book your trip for you. So they are licensed all over the state of Wisconsin. And again, for a resort, all-inclusive, you're good to go. A cruise, no problem. You want to go check the Brewers out and then maybe see a city that you haven't seen before? You can do that. Packers thing too as well. Let Melissa and Michael help you plan and book your next great getaway. 414-208-4221. 414-208-4221. And if you are a veteran, military member, or a family member thereof, they do some stuff with their fees for you too. They give you a break and they want to say thank you for your service. So again, don't go to anybody else, because you can keep that in mind, because there's somebody that gives back to the community. 414-208-4221. That is Dream Vacations. More of the Bill Michaels Show next.
Covering Wisconsin sports like a blanket. This is the Bill Michaels Show on the Wisconsin Sports Zone Radio Network.
Hey, so have you tried fried chicken from Quick Trip? Ooh, freshly cooked, hot and ready. And I'm talking jumbo, hand-breaded chicken tenders, boneless wings dripping with all your favorite sauces. Or how about 8 pieces of fried chicken deliciousness? Perfect for your next large group meal. I mean, this is fried chicken that slays. I'm not talking about the runway. Slays appetites, fills you up. This is no ordinary chicken. It'll make any meal extraordinary. Quick Trip fried chicken, ready for your next meal. See you next time.
Make it a real Mad March with a playoff payout at Potawatomi. Every week, you could score your share of $100,000 in cash and free play. Play this March for drawing entries. Win each Thursday. Plus, the prizes refresh every week for even more winners. The playoff payout at Potawatomi, Milwaukee. It's anyone's game. For more details, visit paysbig.com/payout. Must be 21 and a club member to play.
Bill Michaels will resume in 5 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 4 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 3 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 2 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 1 minute. Bill Michaels will resume in 30 seconds.
Welcome back. Good to have you. The Bill Michaels Show. Continuing on. 877-867-1670. 877-867-1670. Hey, remember, we just had a terrific Irish weekend, but if you want to stay in the spirit, so to speak, or maybe you just want to catch some good music, the Irish Cultural Heritage Center, they still have a host of good concerts coming up. And whether you're looking for a concert to go to, maybe you need a space for a wedding, and you're looking for something that's not going to cost you an arm and a leg. It's a not-for-profit. And maybe meeting space, even that beautiful old 1873, just Celtic, beautiful old church. Great place to go. The Irish Cultural Heritage Center right there on West Wisconsin Avenue, just west of the Marquette campus. Call Corey, 414-345-8800, 414-345-8800. Again, 414-345-8800. Terrific place and terrific people. And they are just... by the time you get done working with them, they're going to be your friends. They're just that great. So great people there. 877-867-1670. You want to find us, please feel free to go ahead and do so. Talking some Bucks basketball, Randy says you can't keep coming up short to say that this team is capable of winning it all, which is true. 100% true. You can talk about the level of talent that they have and the capability of the talent, but if you're not a consistent team that is finding its way to the finals, just going to the postseason every year and not winning it, there's a lot of teams that do that, especially in the NBA, because the NBA has grown their postseason. So you can't say that. But this team this year, look, let's make no mistake about it. Let's call it 100% what it is. They brought Damian Lillard in to make the upgrade by getting rid of Drew Holiday to bring in that sure end-of-game shooter and the guy that was going to take the pressure off of Giannis to bring in the scoring, period. So this team was supposed to elevate its output It wasn't supposed to get better defensively, but elevate its output. And it's done that some. But its margin of victory has shrunk. And they specifically at the beginning of the season, they have not played extremely well. So Damian Lillard was brought in, came here to win a championship. That's it. So on one hand, Damian Lillard, who wanted to play for a championship, who wanted to play in this type of level of atmosphere, you would assume he's like, man, I'm in. I am all in. Now we know off the court, he's got other things going on. He's got a divorce happening. Ever since he moved here, it hasn't been the smoothest of transitions. And that's tough. That's tough for anybody, you know? So I get that. But if they don't win this year, with the age of this team growing to the wrong side, then you're left kind of scratching your head. Because last year I thought was, short of Chris Middleton and the constant injuries, I thought last year's team was ready to go. That was the best season I'd seen out of Brook Lopez beginning to end. It was a shame Giannis had the back issues at the end of the season because that really hurt him. And I think we all realized that. But last year I thought was that opportunity. I thought, man, this team is ready to go. They're going to win it. And there was just such a stark difference between what Miami did to them and the way Miami played versus what the Bucks did. So you can't keep talking about, you're right, you can't keep talking about just going to the postseason with potential. So I agree with that.
I liked what you said about last year. The Bucks, they got cooked by Jimmy Butler, right?
Mm-hmm.
I think the idea of acquiring Damian Lillard wasn't, we need to be better prepared to stop Jimmy Butler. The idea of acquiring Dame Lillard is we want our own version of Jimmy Butler who can go nuclear and take over at the end of games.
Yep.
And we'll see if that plays out in the playoffs. I think the idea is good. We'll see how it plays out. I tell you what, last night, Bill, I know they lost, but some of the shots that Damian Lillard was hitting in crunch time, it's like, ooh, that's kind of exactly what they brought him in for.
Right.
Like that's what they want. And last night, regular season game, no Giannis, but those are the types of huge shots when things slow down and you're in the final 2 minutes and it's hard to run sets and get guys open. That's what they acquired Damian Lillard to do. And he did it last night. That got me excited.
So here's my question. And for those hardcore Bucks fans, if I had to say to you, I'll give you the Bucks or the field to win the championship. And you're going to have to bet your house on it. What are you taking? Now you're like, what? You want to say the Bucks. Your heart wants to say the Bucks. But if you feel like it's the Bucks or the field and you're going to go homeless, Grant, what would you take?
Well, I'd take the field, and it's a perfect explanation from you, Bill, on what I'm trying to say. Like, we all need to realize the Bucks might not win the title. But the point is, if you're really pro Bucks, you hope that they have the pieces and they're all healthy at the right time to go into a 7-game series against anyone and beat anyone. And I believe that's true. But the Bucks versus the field, of course, the field is the better bet.
I would take the field. There are those that this is it. This is they get mad at you if you talk anything negative about the Bucks. This is the reason I'm bringing it up. Because if you had to go in that direction, there aren't many hardcore fans even that would take the Bucks. It's not to say you still don't think they can win. I'm just simply saying if you are that staunch, that hardcore, then I would. Are you going to take the Bucks or the field? And like you, I think the Bucks can win. I think the Bucks can play some great basketball. I think they have it in them. They got to do it, but in that particular vernacular, I'm taking the field. I'm taking the field because, you know why? Because we all say this. We all see the same thing. We see a team that's got a lot of talent. We see the team that we root for go out and dominate on, any given night. And you're like, wow, that's the Bucks. That's what we've been looking for. And then the next game or 3 games down the road, you're like, what the hell was that? That West Coast trip was a big, what the hell was that? All the excuses in the world, but what the hell was that? After coming off 6 straight and dominating in strong fashion. Now it was Charlotte, I get that, but dominating in strong fashion over some of those teams. And beating a good Minnesota Timberwolves team. We thought, okay, here you go. And then you go to the West Coast, and then the ugliness rears its head, and we're like, "Wow, what?" You know, had they gone 3-1 on the West Coast trip, I think we're all in. We're like, this team's got it going on, regardless of what happened last night. They are cooking right now, no doubt. But they didn't, and that still is the same thing. That's the same question in your head that prevents you from taking the Bucks as opposed to the field, and rightfully so. I'm not discounting that. I'm just simply saying that even the hardest of hardcore fans right now would say there's a little inconsistency there and a little uncertainty there that I cannot feel overwhelmingly confident enough to say, this is the direction I'm going. I can't blame you because we're all there too.
In a comparison, like if you have to take your team versus the field, the idea is the Bucks would have the best player in every series, in my opinion, except against the Nuggets.
Right.
I think Jokic is a little better. And then their next best player, Damian Lillard, assuming he's healthy and right, and over the last couple of weeks, he's really trending in the right direction. Like, I think the Bucks have an argument in a series against the Celtics or the Sixers or the Heat that they have the first and second best players. And that's a really good recipe. Now, then you roll the ball out and see who wins. But I like the setup of what the Bucks have going on if they're healthy and everything's starting to work. And I kind of believe that it is. I'm not guaranteeing they're going to go on a title run, but I think they're setting themselves up to have a good chance, which 2 months ago was a dream, right? I would take it 2 months ago, considering how bad things were.
No doubt. Let's do this. We'll step away. We'll take a quick break. We'll come back, and I got a question for you when we come back. Do you feel that with this Bucks team, the chemistry is where it needs to be? Answer me that when we come back. This portion of the program brought to you by the man, the myth, the legend himself, the guy that I'm going to be grilling up tonight. That's Robert's Specialty Meats out of Waukesha. Hitting the barbecue tonight. Going to do that. I've got some sausages. I'm ready to go. Going to sit down. That's my fare for this evening. It's not pizza or anything like that. I'm just going to do a little grilling because it's going to get kind of crappy overnight, and then we're not going to be able to do that for a while. So tonight, grilling. Robert's Specialty Meats Waukesha. A couple of sausages, maybe a small Al Capone roast if Krista wants to go in that direction. But otherwise, there'll probably be a steak for her. But I'm excited, man. Grilling tonight, some Thin Mints tonight, maybe a beverage tonight, watching college hoops tonight. Sunset Drive in Waukesha. That's Robert's Specialty Meats in Waukesha.com. Robert's Specialty Meats Waukesha.com. And if you need somebody to cater an event, whether it's a golf outing or maybe a reception or just a gathering of any kind, they can help you out with that. That's Robert's Specialty Meats Waukesha.com.
Covering Wisconsin sports like a blanket. This is the Bill Michaels Show on the Wisconsin Sports Zone Radio Network.
0% interest for up to 3 years at Pella Windows and Doors of Wisconsin. I'm Gina Della from Pella. Pella's free in-home consultations make replacing or redesigning your windows and doors easy. We go beyond just measuring and handing you a quote. We take the time to listen and educate you on all your product options. And with DesignWorks, you can see what your home will look like before you buy. Whether you're looking to replace your windows due to damage or it's time for a refresh and you'd like to revitalize your home style, choosing from Pella's wide range of windows and doors will complement your home's unique design. Pella can also customize, providing nearly endless possibilities for maximum design flexibility with dramatic sizes, custom colors, finishes, profiles, product types, and more. Order by March 31st to get 0% interest for up to 3 years. Set your free consultation at PellaWI.com.
Certain restrictions apply.
Bill Michaels will resume in 3 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 2 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 1 minute. Bill Michaels will resume in 30 seconds.
Good to have you back. It's a Thursday. Got college hoops going on. We are into the tournament. Get you caught up as to what's happening. Got to have the music. Oh, there we go. All right. First game. Michigan State starting to take it to Mississippi State. The Bulldogs are going down very quietly into that good night. 60-45 with 7:38 left to go. In that contest, you've got Duquesne over BYU early second half. Duquesne over BYU by 8 right now. Upset in the making. Sniff it out. An 11 seed knocking down the 6 seed. If indeed it holds, 38-30. You got Akron. The Zips. The Zips in the rubber capital of the country. 27-25. They're trailing Creighton by 2. 7:38 left to go in the first half there. How about that? Coming up here in, about 4 minutes. Long Beach State, the 15 seed, taking on the 2 seed Arizona. And then after Michigan State culminates, you've got Wagner, who played their way into the contest in Dayton the other night, taking on the North Carolina Tar Heels. So there you go. That's the way things shape up. Boy, how about the Duquesne score? 38-30 right now. 19:43 left to go in the second half. And they're beating the 6 seed BYU right now. Ooh, that would be a nice upset. I don't think I have that, to be honest with you. Maybe I do. I got to see. I can't remember if I do or not. By the way, Grant, did you fill out the remainder of your bracket? Who do you have winning it all? Because we never did discuss that.
Arizona.
You got Arizona. Okay.
I'm an Arizona believer. I have as little confidence in that as I've ever had in anything, but that game where they played the Badgers earlier on in the year stuck with me, and I never like picking the obvious team because that's not fun.
Right. By the way, I got Arizona going to the Final Four. It was so difficult because I can't believe a team is going to repeat, but for the lesser of the options, I went with UConn. I've got Kentucky, Tennessee, UConn, and Arizona going to the Final Four. In my life, I cannot, I don't care if Kentucky has 12 NBA players. I can't pick Kentucky. It's like the pen won't work in my hand to even write down KY. I can't do it. If you're going to write down KY, it better be Jelly and not Wildcats. So I have Kentucky getting beat by Tennessee, and it'd be Tennessee and UConn in the finals, and UConn winning it all. I know it's not a very glamorous pick, but that's kind of the way I went. So we will go over the rest of this coming up here when we come back. We got another hour of the program yet to go. Stick around. Stick around. Enjoying this day. Yeah. Anthony says, when are you going to crack into those Thin Mints? Anthony, how do you know I haven't? No, I haven't. Not to this box. Another box I did, but not to this box. This box, this is kind of a homage to the Girl Scouts because this is the time of year that Thin Mints become prevalent in my world. Loving it. Stay tuned. Another hour yet to go. More of the Bill Michaels Show coming up right after this.
This is a Wisconsin Sports Zone update.
Well, the NCAA tournament is underway as first-round games are taking place today. Wisconsin going to have to wait to take the floor, not doing so until late tomorrow night against James Madison. Badgers head into the game as the number 5 seed and coming off a 4-day stretch in the Big Ten tournament where they played some of their best basketball of the year. So after missing out on the NCAA's last year, guys like Chucky Hepburn want to make the most of their opportunity this time around.
You know, my mindset is we got to take it one game at a time. You know, we've been here before. And, you know, we lost the second round, and I don't want to just go make March Madness. I want to make a deep run in this tournament. So, you know, I'm just trying to lock in, you know, make sure my teammates are locked in, and I really want to make a deep run in this tournament.
Again, the Badgers will face 12-seeded James Madison tomorrow night in Brooklyn. Tip at the Barclays Center set for around 8:40. Meanwhile, Marquette also in action tomorrow afternoon as the 2-seed taking on 15th-seeded Western Kentucky in Indianapolis. Turning the Bucks, they're back home to face Brooklyn at Fiserv Forum tonight. Milwaukee put up a fight against Boston last night, but fell without Giannis Antetokounmpo. Tip tonight is at 8.
Rural Mutual Insurance, keeping Wisconsin strong.
Rural Mutual is the #1 farm insurer in Wisconsin for a good reason. As a company founded by farmers, they understand the ag industry and its challenges. Local agents offer farm families the best advice and personalized coverage. Visit ruralmutual.com to find an agent near you.
Rural Mutual Insurance, keeping Wisconsin strong.
Well, we're a week out from the start of the regular season for the Brewers. They're going to take on the Mets next Thursday in New York. They'll get the home portion of their schedule going the following Tuesday against Minnesota. And the Women's Frozen Four going to get going tomorrow night. Wisconsin will take on Colgate. Winner will get either Ohio State or Clarkson in the title game. With this Wisconsin Sports Zone Network update, I'm Zach Heil.
Good to have you back. Final hour of the Bill Michaels Show. Here today, enjoying the madness that is March. Michigan State now up 16 on Mississippi State with just under 4.5 minutes to go in the contest, 66-50. And Michigan State, barring some type of minor miracle out of Mississippi State, looks as if they're going to move on to win the contest, and we'll bring you the rest of the scores coming up here in just a little bit. This was from Jay. Jay says, "Hey, unit, how weird it was 4 years ago that we were all locked down and everybody was watching someone. No, they didn't have a tournament that year, did they? Did they play? But they played. I can't remember.
There wasn't a tournament. They canceled it. That was the year Wisconsin was going to go on to win the national title.
Yeah, he said that we were watching it unfold before our very eyes, and a lot of these players weren't even able to play. It was a sad, sad state of times. Oh, how far we've come. We should enjoy this even more so this season. I see a lot of that, remember 4 years ago type of stuff when the world shut down. And it didn't. Remember, we were going to shut down for 2 weeks, and then we're going to be back to normal. And it went longer and longer and longer, and 2 weeks turned into 2 months, and 2 months turned into a year. And Yeah, I remember that. I remember watching an NFC Championship game with, about 500 people in a stadium. I remember, watching baseball games with nobody there. It was, at least that gave us a somewhat sense of normalcy once baseball got back underway, and that, what was it, 50 or 60 game season that they played. And it was bizarre. It's almost like you can't believe we went through that. Like, how did that happen? So it was a strange time, a really strange time. And I hope we never have to even come close to experiencing that ever again. It was just bizarre. And now you know what it was like when, and I can't remember the years through my history books, but when the plague was running rampant through Europe and people were staying home and you couldn't see anybody. And, it was something as simple as penicillin that was needed at the time, but it really wasn't available until they invented it. But God, it was so weird. I remember when restaurants were allowed to start opening up for like Fish Fry Fridays for carry out again. And then finally you were allowed to start going back to restaurants, and nobody was. And downtown Milwaukee was like a ghost town. There was nobody there. It was so weird. And my buddy Gino, his staff, they dragged the tables, the tablecloths and everything out into the middle of the street. And they all sat around the tables and they took a picture to say, please come back downtown. And no cars were in the area. It wasn't like you had to drag it back in because of traffic. There was nobody downtown in downtown Milwaukee. It was, you could have shot a cannon off and just listened to the echo. It was just bizarre. So I agree with you, man. Thanks for the email. But I've seen a few of those posts, and I think we will for a long time. I mean, you talk about certain things that have affected our country in many different ways. You can go back to December 7th and the bombing of Pearl Harbor, the assassination of President Kennedy. You can go through history of things that had happened to us, September 11th, obviously. And then, it was like March 17th, the world shut down, that the mandates, March 14th is when it really started to happen. And then by the time we got to March 17th and St. Patrick's Day, the fear of, what they called back then super spreaders shut the world down. And that was it. So very, very bizarre.
We lost March Madness in 2020. What do you think they lost in, what was that, the 14th century with the bubonic plague? Like, do you think they were all pissed that they couldn't go down to the theater to watch Shakespeare? Was that before or after Shakespeare?
Well, Shakespeare had written by then. Live theater, pubs,
a flogging. Maybe that would have sucked. I bet. Like, hey, they're going to flog someone down in the town square. Didn't last spectators,
pubs and brothels, and I don't know. I don't. God, you wonder what the social activity was back then. I don't know.
Going to laugh at someone who is in the stockade. That's what they lost back then. We lost the stuff we lost is a lot cooler.
Oh God, yeah. We lost March Madness, for gosh sakes. So, yeah, God, it was such a bizarre time. And then when we finally started to come back, which was even more ridiculous, the 6-foot spacing, it went from 12 feet to 6 feet, and they started to analyze the depth of breath and moisture droplets coming out of your breath to where it would reach and where the effectiveness was. And I remember I was at Stenny's, and I was sitting at Stenny's and a guy came in. The city of Milwaukee couldn't cover everything. So Mayor Barrett, in his infinite wisdom, decided to hire an outside firm to come in and kind of go to pubs and bars and restaurants. And to justify their salary, they then started fining anybody and everybody like stupid amounts of money for some of these small business owners. And they would literally come in and they would measure. They brought a ruler, a tape measure, I should say. And they would measure seats and chairs and tables. And I remember they came into Stenny's, and Stenny's had a table. It was 3 inches too close to another table, and they were about to be fined $10,000. It was just stupid. It was crazy what was going on. And it happened to a lot of different restaurants where they just finally just said, enough. We're not doing it anymore. We're tired of it. We're not doing it. But yeah, it was crazy, you know. Rick said it wouldn't have mattered back then because the fleas were what was spreading the plague, which was true. It was true. It was the fleas on the rats, and that was what was spreading this. So if they flew into your house, they flew into your house. It didn't matter what you were doing. And Rob says March 13th of 2020, that was when the governor shut down all the schools in the United States, and the POTUS declared the pandemic a national emergency. So March 13th was the day to never forget. I remember March 14th. I remember March 14th. The governor did not shut down all the businesses until St. Patrick's Day. That was the big day to many people because the kids, the schools, it was precautionary. Yes, I understand that. But it was March 17th that they shut down St. Patrick's Day because they were afraid of the quote super spreaders, and that was the day. But March 14th, I'll never forget. I was in spring training, and we had just covered Christian Yelich signing his contract, and I was down there. We were talking about it, and I was getting ready to fly home, and all of the flights, that was it. They were one by one. They were coming off the board. Canceled. And I just remember sitting in the airport out in Phoenix, and this flight from China, and it was a jumbo jet. And this flight from China was just unloading. Everybody's in masks walking by, and we're all sitting in the airport like, well, we're all going to die. Because you didn't know at the time what it was. We're all going to die. Here we go, you know. So anyway, weird stuff.
I remember March 11th. That was the night the NBA shut down. I was at the Root Note in downtown La Crosse, just pounding cans of Dollar Hams. It was delicious. I remember it tasted great. That was the night that Tom Hanks tested. Of all things that could have happened related to COVID, right. I remember looking at Twitter and everyone's like, oh my God, we're going to lose Tom Hanks.
Right.
Like, I don't know why I remember that Wednesday night, probably because the NBA shut down, but Tom Hanks being a part of it is kind of funny in retrospect.
Yeah. Oh, well, man, how far we've come. And now you can, you know, that quick. It's amazing the things that have affected us over time. When it was the Zika virus and the swine flu and different levels of the flu, and then it was going to be COVID. And, you know, man, they come up with a cure for those things right then and there. It's like, here you go. And then what you found out was it was susceptible to, there was a book, and I don't remember what it was when it was written, and I don't want to get too far off the rails here, but a friend of mine has it. I'll have to ask her what it is. But it was written back in the late 90s that called all of this. And I remember she actually had the book and she took a picture of it and put it on Facebook. But that called all of this. And now here's something to be aware of. If the book is correct, and I got to find out what the name of the book was. I'll call her and find out. It predicted that it would then hit us hard and then subside, and then there would be advancements and then a morphism of this particular virus of whatever it is that is supposed to then be, because we all know where it came from, right? That it's supposed to be a stronger, more lethal version that comes back in 10 years. So we're through 4 years of it. So we've got 6 years to go. And if the book, you know, so write that down. So if the book begins to become true, like prophecy, that it's supposed to then affect us again in 10 years. Now, I got to find the book. I hate to throw out information like that and not have the book, but I know it's she's very well read, and she had posted it online. I'll never forget reading it. So anyway, that's it. And remember, anthrax was going to get us. That was the other one. Anthrax was flying around. The mail carriers were dropping off anthrax. That was the other one that was going to get us all. By the way, Michigan State's about to win just under a minute to go, 66-51 over Mississippi State in game 1 of March Madness. There you go. What else, Grant? Anything else on your mind before we move on?
No, I'm thinking that even in the 1300s, they could try to shut down March Madness, and Tom Izzo and Michigan State would still peak at the right time. Like, to see why does anyone doubt him? The selection committee, by the way, is happy because they're kind of taking it on the chin for putting Virginia in, and a lot of people were upset the Michigan State.
Wow! Did you see that?
What happened?
Oh, wow! Michigan State is just trying to run out the clock. Just trying to run out the clock. They got a backup guard who comes into the game and took a shot like from beyond almost half court, probably 10 feet short of half court, way off to the side. Just throws it up to throw it up. Boom! Hits from that far outside. 69-51's the final. Time runs out. Mississippi State's run as an 8 seed comes to an end. Michigan State dominates by 18 to push the Bulldogs out of the tournament. And Michigan State, the 6th straight round of 64 win for Tom Izzo and his group.
That's what they do. It's what I just saw the shot. I was a minute behind you.
Did you see that? He just pushed it up from the seats. It was like Steph Curry or Caitlin Clark. It
was a moon ball.
Yes. And I thought, oh my God, what an air ball. What an embarrassing. Wow, it went in, that type of thing. So, holy mackerel. There you go. Okay, let's do this. We're going to step back. Going to take a quick break. Come back. More of the Bill Michaels Show coming up next.
Ready? This is the Bill Michaels Show on the Wisconsin Sports Zone Radio Network.
Bill Michaels will resume in 3 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 2 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 1 minute. Bill Michaels will resume in 30 seconds.
Always a crazy one, broke into the stadium and I wrote your number on the 50-yard line.
Good to have you back, the Bill Michaels Show. This weekend, as a matter of fact, I think Saturday night, we are planning on heading to downtown Waukesha. Little birthday celebration. Kristen's birthday is coming up. So, and it kind of makes me feel better because then she's going to go from 11 years younger than me to 10 years younger than me. And doesn't make me feel creepy. But one of the things on the docket is we're going to dinner. We're going to walk around downtown Waukesha. We got a couple of wine bars we're going to stop by and just enjoy the weekend. And then culminate over at the Nice Ash Cigar Bar. I don't know who they have playing down there this weekend, but they've got music on, and they're going to have, obviously, the games are going to be on. So a walk and talk and drink and fun and festivities type of weekend, but we'll see you down at the Nice Ash at some point this weekend. 323 West Main Street, downtown Waukesha. And they have, I would assume that, I don't know how many people are going with us, but I know that Kristen and a couple of her friends enjoy the hookahs. The Blueberry Mint Hookah is the one that they go for, and they've got 13 different flavors. Me, I am going to be taking along some of my favorites, and whatever I do. But I think I'm going to have probably a good cigar this weekend. I'm looking forward to it. Should be good. I haven't had one like that in a while, so I'm going to head down to Nice Ash and do the humidor thing and the bourbons and whiskey thing and just kind of have a nice night. Looking forward to it.
I want the privilege of smoking another cigar with you at some point. You gave me that cigar in Vegas when we were out, after the cigar party when we were sitting inside warming up, and it was outstanding. But I didn't enjoy it to the degree that I should have, because in my mind, I was doing the math of how many drinks I'd had and how late we were up and how much we had to do the next day.
Right.
I'm like, sometimes it's not the booze, it's the other things that you put in your body, like a big fat cigar. You'll feel that the next day.
Yeah.
So I want to be uninhibited to be able to smoke a cigar with you at some
what
point.
we got to do is if you're here into the Milwaukee area with Rachel, then you can either stay with her, or since we're only about 3-4 minutes away, you guys can stay at the house and just kind of hang here if you want to do that. That way you don't have to imbibe and drive, so to speak. But yeah, we're gonna head down there this week. Now, when does Rachel get back?
She's back here this weekend.
Is
She's
she?
been out.
Okay.
She's been doing family. All her family lives out in California, so they all go out there and just live it up on the sun and the beach together for a couple weeks every year.
Well, if you're in town, let us know. Let us know, because we're just out celebrating her birthday. There's a place down there that is it's a really cool wine bar that you walk in, you give them your credit card, and they give you a card, like a credit card. And what it does is you go in and you put it into different machines. There's all these bottles of wine, and you can pick the wine that you want. And you can pick the size of glass you want, whether you want a 3-ounce pour, a 6-ounce pour, or a 9-ounce pour. And you just push the button, and then you hold your glass under there, and it fills your glass up. It dispenses it to your glass. And then you can taste different wines without buying different bottles. So we're starting out Springhouse Wines. I can't remember what it is. But it's right on Main Street. It's across the street from Nice Ash. So we're going there. We're going to eat at a place called Tofty's Table, which is fantastic food. And then there's a couple other, walkable craft breweries and stuff in the area. And it's such a nice downtown since they've renovated everything downtown, redid the streets, storefronts. It's really cool. So we're going to just take a walk. I know it might be a little slushy, but we're just going to get out and take a walk and celebrate her birthday, and then end up over at Nice Ash with some music and good friends, and watch games, and that'll be the night. By the way, speaking of Vegas, now I don't know if you get anything from Mandalay Bay. I do, because we were booked there on site to do the show and everything. So I had kind of stayed in touch with a lot of the different Vegas stuff, in case we wanted to ever go back. Guess what opened up today for a viewing party of the NCAA tournament?
I'm trying to think. What would that be?
The pool.
Oh.
Yeah. They got a giant screen above that waiting wave pool that we were looking at every day, watching them fill it up and clean it, because everything out in the pool was shut down because it was too cold. And it opened today. They've got a few, probably, 30, 40 people. That place can hold 1,000 people in a pool, but they've got 30, 40 people laying out in the sun outside with the big giant, 30-foot screen with March Madness on it. And it opened today. It made me go, oh, we're out there about a month and a half, 2 months too early.
Not too cold for me, by the way. If it's above 50, I'll sit next to a pool.
I will.
Beach.
Yep.
Man.
I'm not going in it, because it would be like Puxatawny Wang. You wouldn't see that thing for a while, but I will be happy to lay by it. I don't mind that at all. If I can do a margarita and a cigar, I'm a happy guy at that point.
Do you got this Long Beach State Arizona game on by chance?
I don't.
Long Beach is they're not just hanging around. Like they just got an and one. They're up 22-17. Watch, I say that I pick Arizona and they're going to go and lose in the first round.
Right?
Long Beach State would be kind of a fun story. That's a fun school.
There you go. I've got it on now. 22-17 and 8:40 left to go in the first. And then the other game that the possibility of an upset and would be Duquesne BYU game. With 10 minutes to go in the game, Duquesne, the 11 seed, is up by 10 now over BYU, 50-40. And they don't show any signs of giving up. Duquesne, the 11 seed over the 6 seed BYU, which is not it's not a 12-5 upset, but it would be an upset nonetheless. You got Long Beach State over Arizona right now at 22-17. And the other game, you're getting ready for Wagner to tip off against North Carolina. That game should be tipping off in about 12-15 minutes, something to that effect. And the game that's already in the books is Michigan State knocks off Mississippi State 66-51. So there you go. But Duquesne by 10 right now over BYU. And Long Beach State is over Arizona right now, 22-17. Bodies all over the floor with that one. And one. There you go. God, I love this time of year. You can flip on almost any channel. You got college hoops going on. So good stuff. This one's from, who's this from? This is from Mark. Mark said, hey, loved all the topics today. Just an enjoyable day sitting at home watching a game. Isn't this the time of year that most men get vasectomies? Yes. We didn't do that story. That story's done every year. But yes, you are correct. This is the time of year when Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday, more so yesterday or this morning, you get a lot of men that are going to have vasectomies because you can't do anything. And they all stay home and sit in the recliners with a bag of peas on their peas and just chill, pardon the pun, and watch the tournament. And that's it. The tournament games are on. So if you're going to do it at a time of year where you can sit back, relax, and do nothing. And that's what, yes, you are 100% correct. This is the time of year when a lot of that happens. Absolutely. I forgot all about that, to be honest with you. I forgot that this is what it is. But yes, you are right. Anthony hasn't been listening all day, but he said, have you talked at all about the Shohei Ohtani story and the gambling debts? How in the world does his interpreter get access to that much money? Are you kidding me? 100%. And we talked about that too. How does that guy, that's why you would assume with the story as it broke, which is still relevant, even though it's a terrific investigatory piece, there's still a lot of information as this investigation continues to unfold that's going to come out. Now, just for those that don't know, Shohei Ohtani's interpreter has been fired by the Dodgers, and he had taken $4+ million out of Ohtani's account for what he calls a gambling addiction. The first interview he did said he had a gambling addiction. He was losing. He went to Shohei Ohtani, asked him if he could cover his debts and help him out. Ohtani agreed, paid the bill, and thus that's where it stands. In the next interview he did, he said, no, he lied. Ohtani knew nothing about it. He has no knowledge of any gambling debts at all, and he had access to Ohtani's account and stole all the money. Ohtani's lawyers are saying he is the victim of, quote, a mass fraud or mass theft, as they put it, of the $4.5 million that were taken. In the meantime, a bookie that was in San Diego that met with Ohtani's interpreter, who was employed by the Dodgers at a poker game, is the bookie, kind of the in-between man in all of this. Now, the question becomes, did Ohtani know about it? The other aspect is it was not baseball that was bet on, apparently, but gambling is illegal in all facets in California. So if you're placing bets and you're getting credit from bookies and casinos, chances are you're doing it illegally. And that's where the FBI got involved when they started busting some of these sports books and these bookies and these go-betweens for the amount of money that they were passing back and forth. So, but right now, Major League Baseball is saying, hey, we're going to let the FBI handle this. And once all the, the dust starts to settle, we'll make determinations as to what it is we need to do. But in the meantime, the Dodgers immediately fired the interpreter for Shohei Ohtani that he has been with, he met back in 2013, has been with him since he came to the Angels back in 2018. And that's where things stand today. So there you go. 877-867-1670. By the way, our buddy Steve says, hey, Bill, I don't think it was the potential loss of Tom Hanks is why you remember that night more than anything. It was because it was the hams of the Sky Blue Water that the loss of the hams and going out and getting hams was the reason you probably remember that night so vividly.
We lost a lot during the pandemic. $1 cans of hams and wristbands. We lost wristbands in a lot of college bars. The bars just did away with that after the pandemic, which is maybe for the best. It's like maybe you shouldn't be able to drink all you want for $6 or whatever. Maybe that is a bad idea.
So, oh man, let's do this. We're at the bottom of the hour. Let's go ahead and take a quick break. We'll come back. We got a whole lot more to get to. Don't go anywhere. Stay tuned. We got more of the Bill Michaels Show coming up next.
This is the Bill Michaels Show on the Wisconsin Sports Zone Radio Network.
0% interest for up to 3 years at Pella Windows and Doors of Wisconsin. I'm Gina Della from Pella. Pella's free in-home consultations make replacing or redesigning your windows and doors easy. We go beyond just measuring and handing you a quote. We take the time to listen and educate you on all your product options. And with DesignWorks, you can see what your home will look like before you buy. Whether you're looking to replace your windows due to damage or it's time for a refresh and you'd like to revitalize your home style, choosing from Pella's wide range of windows and doors will complement your home's unique design. Pella can also customize, providing nearly endless possibilities for maximum design flexibility with dramatic sizes, custom colors, finishes, profiles, product types, and more. Order by March 31st to get 0% interest for up to 3 years. Set your free consultation at PellaWI.com.
Certain restrictions apply.
Bill Michaels will resume in 5 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 4 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 3 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 2 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 1 minute. Bill Michaels will resume in 30 seconds.
Welcome back. The Bill Michaels Show. Just enjoying the day today. You've got basketball on. Arizona getting a scare from Long Beach State with 4 minutes to go. Long Beach State up 28-26 as Arizona has drawn closer to Long Beach State. So we'll get you all the scores coming up here shortly. Oh, a big three for Long Beach State, 31-26. Oh, just when Arizona got close. Now they're all slapping the floor like Bobby Hurley used to do and Wojciechowski used to do. Getting ready for defense and then a lob inside, and that's right in your face. So there you have it. Grant, did you hear about a tribe that is suing the Washington Commanders? It's not for what you think it is either, that which is so weird. Did you read this story?
No, I didn't hear anything about this, no.
I get all kinds of weird stuff sent to me, and I had to look into this. The Washington Commanders, according to Native American Wisdom Spirit, which is it's an online kind of gathering place for Native Americans, the Native American Guardians Association, they are trying to get the Commanders to change the name back to Redskins. The lawsuit states the logo on the Redskins helmet is an actual person. It is Chief Whitecalf. Every time they would go onto the field, they were honoring Chief Whitecalf, and they were battling on the football field with the same honor and integrity and courage as Chief Whitecalf would. They should continue to honor that legacy. That's NBC out of Montana. So this, the Native American Guardians Association are suing to put the Redskins logo back on the Commander's helmet. Now, maybe you don't call them Redskins. Maybe you call them something else. The Chiefs are already taken, obviously, but they want that logo put back on the helmet. They said it never should have been removed in the first place. We never asked for it to be removed. So, it's so interesting. I remember when we went through this when I was doing radio in Cincinnati, the University of Miami of Ohio. They were named the Redskins, and the property that the college is on was gifted to the college by a Native American tribe in that area, in the Little Miami area. And they did not want them to change from the Redskins and the Redskins logo. They said you could change technically like the name and call it something different, but we don't want to lose the logo of what it was. And again, it was, nope, we're changing the name. We're going to be politically correct. Here we go. And I remember that they were not happy about it. Not happy about it at all. They're like, we gifted you this college. Here's the property. And now you're going to turn around and dishonor us by changing the name? Same thing here. Washington Commanders being sued by the Native American Guardians Association to put Chief Whitecalf back on their helmets, saying we never asked for him to be changed. So talk about a reversal of decision there. I mean, it'll never go back. They'll never be called the Redskins again. That'll never happen. But that's more weirdness. Why does it just revolve around the Washington Commanders? They've had nothing but strife. You know what I mean? They can't do anything right. I mean, they had an owner who was a giant horse's ass for a long time. We know that. But they can't catch a break. I mean, first of all, their stadium stinks. That FedEx Field, which was a tweener field. It was a brand new stadium, big, beautiful complex, but it was right before stadiums became the stadiums like we know them today. It was just a little bit before its time. It's kind of like when they tore down Comiskey, when they got rid of Comiskey Park down in Chicago. It was a pre-Progressive Field stadium, pre-Camden Yards stadium. They had to build this new thing, and they were going to, they were trying to make it more intimate and cool. And it's still antiseptic and antiquated. And now they're already looking for a new place to go. It's before stadiums became flavorful again. And they were just caught in the middle. So now now you've got the Native Americans suing the Washington Commanders. So there you have it. Just stuff as headlines out of anywhere. It's all coming in today. 877-867-1670, 877-867-1670. If you want to give us a shout, please feel free to go ahead and do so. Ken says, do you ever think they'll make the Chicago Blackhawks change their name? I don't think so. It's not a derogatory logo, and it's not a derogatory name. I don't know why they would. Really, I mean, they've changed the Cleveland Indians to the Cleveland Guardians. The Braves are probably the next one on the target. I'm sure there's some, white lead conglomerate out there that needs to change the name for somebody. Beyond that, I don't know what other team out there would be offensive at this point. I think everything else has been pretty much changed. I never understood why they changed Marquette Warriors. Never understood that. That was, and they did that proactively. They did it without anybody really complaining. Trying to think what else. Is there anything else out there, Grant, that I'm missing? I mean, the only one that I can think of would be the Braves. Florida State, the Seminoles.
If you get into colleges, that was going to be my next suggestion.
Florida State's the other one where I think they've complained about, the Indian chief, who's really not an Indian at all, running out and throwing the flaming dart in the middle of the field. But beyond that, I can't think of anything. Steven says the Bears are offensive to chubby guys with beards. Well, he says, what about the Kansas City Chiefs? No, they can't. That's already been negotiated because the Chiefs don't have a derogatory name nor a derogatory logo. And by the way, they're winning championships. So, that's not going to happen. Maybe you get away with the, some of the singing of the lingo, but you can't stop fans from doing something, Beyond that, I can only think of Florida State. Everything else, I think, has been changed, and everybody's become politically correct in that aspect of it. So I don't know. I don't know what else is out there that we would be offended by. I'm sure something will pop up here in the next couple of days. We'll be offended by something. 877-867-1670. If you want to find us, please feel free. Go ahead and do so. I just find all of this so, I find it so self-serving by groups that are out there that say this is so terrible. You always get that one college student that screams into. Did you ever see the college student that screams into a microphone for 2 minutes because she says that's how infuriated she is, so she has to be heard?
Was this on TikTok? No, I must have missed it.
Yeah, whatever, Instagram, whatever. It's been through the social media aspect of it, and the person that is trinary and all these different things. And I'm like, is this where we're at today as a society? Like, some of these people really believe some of this stuff? It's okay. Not that I want to get political, but I look at some of these kids at these college symposiums that are just, they need more psychiatric help than they do a college degree. So it's like, what the hell? All right, let's do this. We're going to step away. We're going to take a quick break. We're going to come back, and we are going to kind of wrap things up. We'll give you some updates on the scores. Long Beach State now trailing by 4, but we'll get you caught up when we return. Stay tuned. This portion of the program brought to you by our terrific friends at Point Brewing. All they do, they're not offensive to anybody. All they do is brew excellence. That's it. Since 1857, right here in our own backyard, Stevens Point, Wisconsin. And whether it's the kitty cocktail, root beers, cream sodas, whatever, for the kids or for the adults, for the kid in you, we'll say, or the traditional amber lager, or maybe the milkshake or the snow pilot, or even cider boys. They have got great stuff up there. That's our friends at Point Brewing, Stevens Point, Wisconsin, brewing excellence since 1857. Don't go anywhere. We'll get you caught up on the tournament because we're dancing next.
Covering Wisconsin sports like a blanket. This is the Bill Michaels Show on the Wisconsin Sports Zone Radio Network.
Bill Michaels will resume in 3 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 2 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 1 minute. Bill Michaels will resume in 30 seconds.
Good to have you back. The Bill Michaels Show. Continuing on. Got another day coming up tomorrow on the docket. And whatever happens to be, will be. Whenever stories having a break, maybe an update on the show. Hey, Ohtani story, Brewers, Packers, whatever it is. But tomorrow, I'm excited. We're going to be down at American Family Field tomorrow. And we'll show you whatever it is we can show you. And we're looking forward to it. But that's where we're going to be tomorrow. Hey, this portion of the program brought to you by our friends at Pella Windows and Doors of Wisconsin. Go to PellaWI.com. That's PellaWI.com for setting up maybe your free in-home consultation. You can take a look at some of the offers they have right now, up to 60 months with 0% financing even. So they've got a lot of great deals going on right now. But more so than anything, you can get your home economical, more valuable, more secure, whatever it happens to be, and Pella can do it for you. So that's Pella Windows and Doors of Wisconsin. Go to PellaWI.com or call them 855-PELLA-WI. That's 855-PELLA-WI, and check it out for yourself. Yeah, tomorrow, going to be down at American Family Field, regardless of the snow. We're going to be down there. There is a corporate event that I'm going to be attending after the fact over at X Golf. So I'm looking forward to that, but we're going to be inside the broadcast booth tomorrow at American Family Field, which is going to be exciting. It's going to be just to be back. It's going to be fun. Do you cover a lot of Brewers games, Grant? Do you ever get down there?
No, it's never really been in the cards for me, just because I've been so far away. So this summer, trying to get to some, especially probably Saturday night games.
Yeah.
On some weekends that aren't busy, but also I got half a dozen weddings this summer. You know how summer goes.
Do you really?
You don't have
you're at
many
that
age.
Weekends. Yeah, you're at that age.
I'm in 2 or 3 weddings this summer. My tuxedo rental bill it's a good thing I'm an executive producer. I make great money. Otherwise, I for all this.
Okay. I remember going. We have one wedding this year. We're not a part of it. We're not in it, but it is it's a couple that is from here, but they moved away, so they're coming back here for a full weekend, a Friday, Saturday, and Sunday of festivities. So we are participating in all of that, and we're staying in Elkhart Lake. They're doing the reception, I believe, at the Ustaf, if I'm not mistaken. I think it's at the Ustaf. I'm not positive, but I know we're staying in Elkhart Lake. So they're friends of Kristen's, and I'm just like, okay, just let me know when I need to be there, where I need to be, and what I need to wear, and I'm good, So, but we have only one wedding this year. I remember those days, man. I remember. Now you're going to get to this point, and sadly, you're going to have to go through this, where you got a lot of friends that get married, and then they get divorced, and then they get remarried. So in your 20s, you're in weddings. In your 30s, you're doing the divorce parties. And in your 40s again, you start doing weddings again. That's kind of the way the cycle goes. And then by the time you get to your 50s, you hope to God that everybody's pretty much set in their ways. So, but it happens. So
whether they're single or still married, just keep it that way at this point.
Right. Once you get to your 50s, just, at that point in time, like where I'm at right now, Kristen and I are engaged and everybody knows that. But at this point in time, it's like, okay, this is slow. This is it. You got to make sure everything works. You enjoy the bliss and you stop fretting over all the blank. Because the little stuff can get you into the weeds. And I tell, she's 40, she's going to be 47 and I'm 57. So we'll get into arguments at times. And finally it's like, whoa. This is, I don't mean to belittle the argument, but this is blank. This is the S word. This is stuff you can't get caught up in. These are the little things that end up just driving you nuts. And you can't. Life's too short, man. Life's way too short. I had a buddy of mine just call me on Monday and said, hey, did you hear about such and such? I'm like, oh, no, what's he doing? Well, he died. I'm like, what? He's only 2 years older than I am. So that's when you start looking at things reflectively going, you better just enjoy what you've got. And that's why we do what we do. And that's why we go out and have fun doing it. That's why we go to Vegas and have fun sitting atop of Mandalay Bay and going to Piro's with Mike Clemens and and just kind of hanging out, listening to stories and shooting the stuff. You know, it used to be you go out and party, and unless you went out and partied, you weren't having a good time. Now it's like you just want to go have a drink. You want to go have a cigar. You want to sit down and talk. You want to share experiences. You want to see things, do things, that kind of thing. You want to be able to say, okay, I've lived a good life and not complain about it the entire time.
I want to be able to sleep past 4 a.m. You know, things that I'm striving for.
I can see you waking up at 4 going, come here, pussycat. I just want to experience you. I've changed your world.
Imagine if someone just tuned in and heard that last 20 seconds without the background of what we were talking about.
Oh, yeah. Oh, absolutely. Oh, yeah. Absolutely. I agree with that. By the way, so tomorrow we're going to be live from American Family Field. We're going to be doing all kinds of fun stuff, and we'll keep you up to date on all the scores. But to get you up to date, let's get to it. Duquesne is still holding on, the 11 seed right now over BYU. Trying to hang in there. And we'll see if they can continue to hang on. But yeah, BYU right now is getting the win, or Duquesne is getting the win over BYU. So if they can continue to do that, not a bad day at the office there. Michigan State has already won. They're in the books. So the tournament, they are dancing, they are moving on, and we all know it's Izzo's time of year, and it just happens to be that way. So earlier today, you had Michigan State 69-51 over Mississippi State. You got North Carolina just tipping off 8-6 over Wagner. Wagner winning the other night to get themselves into the contest. They've just tied it up. It's 8 apiece right now early on in that ball game. Akron, the Zips are trailing Creighton now 56-42. Creighton has kind of blown it open in Long Beach State at the half. Trailing now Arizona by 6, 41-35. So there you go. That's the games that are in progress right now and what's going on in the NCAA tournament. So there you have it. 877-867-1670, 877-867-1670. And this is from Mark. Mark says one question. He says, what can you show at American Family Field tomorrow? I know they want to unveil some stuff on opening day. I don't know. I'm going to find out when I get there. So tomorrow we're going to be live from inside the broadcast booth. I don't know if the windows are going to be open or closed. I don't know if it's cold or warm. I couldn't tell you. But we're going to be, I would assume the roof is closed because they're not going to put 6 inches of snow on that thing, getting it ready for the ball season. So I would assume, and they've already taken the protective tarp off of the grass. So my assumption is the roof is closed even right now. They probably have the grow lights on the grass. So we shall see. But anyway, we will be there.
Speaking of college basketball, before we go, did you see what our friend Ben Kenny was tweeting up a storm about earlier today?
No, I did not.
He's on the Matt Painter beat, I guess, right now. He tweeted this quote, and this will be a funny way to wrap up the show. This is what Matt Painter said. If you sit down and actually watch the game and you know the rules and you watch what's going on from the two hands in the back and the hook and holds, the guy's trying to take charges while he's diving, things of that nature. They're not trying to take those charges on anyone else in the country. That's how people get hurt. That's why they changed the block charge rule, blah, 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 blah. I've had Final Four officials, not one of them, 10 of them, come over and say they foul him every play. He gets fouled every single play. And that's their words. That's him talking about Zach Edey, obviously.
That Edey gets fouled every play?
Yeah. That Wisconsin was defending. He was saying Wisconsin was banging him up and trying to do all these things. It's like, dude, they had 3 bigs foul out. What more do you want?
Right.
The 3 of their bigs had to exit the game for committing fouls. What more do you want, man?
So is he angry that Edey is getting all the calls? Because Ben, I know, can't stand Edey.
Not getting enough calls is what he's saying.
Edey's not getting enough calls is what he's saying. Or is that what's being reported?
That's his words. That's what he said. He was on 107.5 The Fan is that in West Bend? Where is that station? I don't know.
Okay. Interesting.
I'd play you the audio, but we're running out of time. Maybe we can circle back to it tomorrow.
Okay, we'll have to circle back to that tomorrow because I'm like, Ben, what's going on? He suddenly got this East Coast bias. So we'll see. We'll see. So anyway, coming up tomorrow, we're going to be live down at American Family Field. We're looking forward to that. We will give you up to date, obviously scores and such as the tournament gets underway. Day 2. You've got tomorrow afternoon, we're going to be on the air. Marquette is going to take to the court against Western Kentucky. So we'll have that going on. Duquesne right now with 4 seconds to go. At the free throw line, they are up 69-67, 70-67. If you hit the bucket here for the second of the one-on-one, BYU, the 6th seed in the country, will bow out over to Kane if he hits this shot within the next 2 seconds because we're just about out of time. He was on 107.5 The Fan in Green Bay, WDUZ. And that's it. Duquesne up 4 with 4 seconds to go in the ball game. And they are going to advance. The 11 seed knocks off the 6 seed. Duquesne wins it 71-67 the final over BYU. And on that note, that's it. That'll do it for us. Time for us to go.